Dr. V.K. Chhabra and Dr. V.K. Successor. We will be shortly beginning our sessions. I request the chairman to please come and take their seats on the stage. Our very first speaker is Dr. Imleacon. He's come all the way from Maharashtra, and the topic he'll be speaking on is medical legal issues in immunization. I invite Dr. Imleacon on stage, please.
इस पावन भूमि उत्तराखंड को प्रणाम और greetings from Maharashtra इंडिया ब्रांच और तहे दिल से शुक्रिया और आभारी हूँ उत्तराखंड की इंडिया ब्रांच प्रेसिडेंट डॉक्टर सिरोही सर, सेक्रेटरी डॉक्टर त्यागी सर और ऑर्गेनाइजिंग चेयरमैन सिंगल सर, गुप्ता सर को चेयरमैन, शर्मा ऑर्गेनाइजिंग सेक्रेटरी सर और तमाम ऑफिस बेयरर्स इस ब्रांच के और हमारे नेशनल प्रेसिडेंट डॉक्टर आशीष जैन और फाउंडर ऑफ द इंडिया डॉक्टर सतीश तिवारी सर, डॉक्टर नागपाल सर। ओके,
इम्लियाकॉन को करने और बहुत स्वागत है। डॉक्टर MBBS, BCS, BPS and LLB फर्स्ट क्लास हैं और अपनी मेडिकल प्रैक्टिस और मेडिकल क्वालिफिकेशन के अतिरिक्त मेडिको लीगल इश्यूज इन मेडिकल टर्म्स में अपना सहयोग दे रहे हैं, इसलिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। कंट्री practicing consulting pediatricians 33 years at Tiger, Maharashtra, President MASA Academy of Pediatricians, Maharashtra State, Secretary MSA Malia, Maharashtra State Malia branch, who your 22 important posts held by Dr. Very important posts held by Dr. Gangolia, past President IAB, Chief Organizing Chairman, Maharashtra Pediatrician 221 Lifetime Achievement Award, Arogya Dham Speaker of various CMEs and conferences. In all, we again welcome you, Dr. Gangolia. Please start your.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the chairman sir for that lovely introduction. And let us begin. The talk is on medical issues like immunization and vaccination. In this gathering, can I know how many are the pediatricians? Just look at it. So, we have pediatricians in this crowd. Because immunization vaccination is concerned with the pediatrician, but still, adults, physician, they would have the immunization in terms of the adult vaccination. So, it is an integral and essential component of our pediatric practice. In this era of consumerism, one should be always safe that anything can happen at any time from nowhere and always well till nothing happens. But if it happens, it ruins everything. And just because it's our first talk, I will take the liberty of talking to these types of basics where everybody should know. Already during the inauguration function, our dignities were expressed and everybody knows this. But the important thing is that if we go to see the laws, I would like to classify in two types of laws. There are statutory laws which are passed in Parliament or State Assembly, example, State Medical Council and Consumer Protection Act and the judgment law. This is a very important thing. Because whenever any issue goes to Supreme Court, High Court, whatever the judgment is given, that becomes the precedence law. Because our law syllabus doesn't cover all issues, as that the laws made doesn't provide solution to all issues. Hence, many issues require logical, justified and appropriate ethical-based reasoning as per land laws, unless and until we are judgmental law, when such issues reach the Supreme Court for its verdict. So mostly we have lots of medical gray areas in medicine, biopractical medicine, so we have to be careful. And these are the newspaper clipping, and then this one more news clipping. I will not go into detail because I have to complete in the next 15 to 20 minutes. So this paper, newspaper I picked up with the paper. Facts of vaccine. Vaccine is one form of drug. Each vaccine has adverse effect mentioned on the insert leaflet which comes with each vaccine. So everybody should try to read. Most of the time we ourselves don't read. So we should read as well as ask the patient or relatives to read. Each vaccine theoretically can cause anaphylactic reactions and may be possible there. No vaccine has 100% efficacy and prevention. This is an important thing. तो बहुत बार होता है कि ये वैक्सीन की वजह से ये कैसे हो गया. So always you should stress on the point what is the efficacy rate of the vaccine which is with each vaccine, and therefore we have to need to explain these aspects whenever we do the vaccination or immunization. So let us go some few questions because in 20 minutes it is difficult to cover everything, but let us know what does immunization needs consent? That is an important issue. I do not remember any case law which is regarding the consent in the immunization in the country. We have the authority in this August gathering. They will say if there is any case law there and why and how and whether immunization is the consent. So basically, any invasive act or procedure requires a consent legally, and vaccination is also an invasive act. Therefore, consent will be mandatory. The issue is the type of consent. So let us see the types of consents. I may not go into details. These are the Prabha case, or we talk about all the types of case consents. But probably I am assuming everybody knows this because our talk is updated. But these are important implied verbal and express and written and proxy. Three important consents. Hence, appropriate format of consent should be there for vaccination. And what is the informed right consent? Again, I will not go into detail, but this probably everybody knows. But the important point I want to mention is ideal consent should be in the language which patient understand, in writing, reasonably detailed, in simple language, and use like the parents and the use and the parties, and should be the well time. So this one should remember. And also one more point I want to stress, because medical practice has lots of gray areas, and probably why the speakers during the inauguration functions they are expressing their views. Probably I think 6 words are very important, but that 2 or 3 words came by listening to the comments from the dignitaries. First word is anticipation. Second one is communication. Third is documentation. Fourth is one should know our limitation. And one should look after ethics. The most important word I feel is the introspection. Because there cannot be blanket solution to the blanket issues of all the practice. So each individual should tailor-make things and we go and address these 6 points and then one can see business. So what is the ideal consent of vaccine? It is a proxy informed express consent because vaccination specific is minor. So the format of consent we will go to. So in pediatrics it is a proxy informed express consent. So this is from Facebook of already sir has said, Dr. Sudhir sir has said we have Facebook of medical issues and we have this vaccination format. I will not do the details. So what is details? Everything is there. I may share this PDF to our Uttrakhand office or bearers. It can be shared the PDF to everybody in the state. There is no issue on that. So this is states whatever the things are there, and probably one should also have in the local language maybe whatever the Hindi and whatever is followed over here, and name of the patient, name of the relatives, and probably to have signature of both parents, two witnesses, doctor's signature as per CPA is a service contract. So both parties should sign. So then in short one line, as proxy informed express consent as vaccination is minor. But few issues I would like to address here. So this is the whatever I stated. Vaccination is an invasive procedure, therefore it requires a consent. And the consent should be the express one. But does each vaccination visit needs fresh consent, way out, and what about government setup? Government setup में जब इलाज होता है उधर तो consent नहीं लेते, तो हमने क्यों लेना चाहिए consent? That is the most of the time the pediatricians and the doctors ask. So, basic question, whether consent is required is kind of medically, if you see, the only one sentence answer, yes. Proxy informed consent. Well time, that is each type of vaccination. पर उसमें हर बार करना मुश्किल होता है. So what is the common practice in our all over country in majority of all the concept of the impact consent. It is assumed impact one is the international IAM from there, so that is the impact consent. I will not do the details because of the time constraint. This can be used as a defense in case of issue in court of law, but that it remains to the discretion of the court whether it stands to be of the invasive act of the procedure. So that is the problem with that. And most of the time it's argued that the government has international program concept है, तो hence it is applicable to the private education. But in fact, our argument may not stand in court of law because government international program is a national program done in good faith for masses at no cost, that is free. As well as the invite consent case of immunization, government also vicariously liable for it, and they have also had to answer the things. So it was a pain, sometimes pediatrician our file we have to keep 2 lines or consent, but that was a blanket consent, and therefore हर बार लेना जरूरी है. So this can be used in defensive case of research. Again, it remains the restriction of court of law. So ideal solution क्या होगा? Probably proxy informed consent well timed at each time of vaccination. The issue is practical implement is difficult, but we have to see, and hence feeling of vaccination consent each time, dated time, and probably always give whatever leaflet and whatever is these days, then we have to give to the patient, as well as put the stickers, whatever there is on the file or the paper. और इसको हम ऐसे कर सकते हैं कि जनरल कंसेंट ऑफ फर्स्ट विजिट और दूसरी बार जब भी आएंगे ओपीडी पेपर पे लोकल लैंग्वेज में लिखवा देंगे कि इस दिन हमें ये वैक्सीन दी जा रही है, इसकी जानकारी पूर्ण हमें दी गई है, उस पर भी काम चल सकता है और उसमें साइन देना चाहिए. तो probably to summarize, general vaccine consent, specific vaccine consent on OPD paper, time bound, and please insert and leaflet of vaccination with date and time. We can put date and time of that the insert and give to the patient. One issue was that we have, as an Indian Academy of Pediatrics, we have UAP modules. That module is use of medicine pediatrics module. And I was one of the that you attended for the TOD training of trainers. But the first slide, what that module said, no consent needed implied. So that is the stand of the whatever the module of the Indian Academy of Pediatrics. But really, it will hold into court of law, we don't know. Answer is we are. So I propose, so I feel that I should come the guidelines regarding consent, not guidelines, because guidelines sometimes are not mandatory, but to be followed in a good faith. So there should come regarding vaccination something which helps court of law. Probably Dr. Satish Tiwari sir may look into this, and probably should have some document which will be the court of law will agree for the consent. So this is the stand whatever the AP policy. Now question 3, what is A effect and what are the chances and how to approach? This I will go fast and what will do. Everybody know adverse effect following immunization. Inserts do mention adverse effects. Each vaccine is not 100% safe and doesn't provide 100% protection, and therefore AFIs are rare but a known complication. We more often see the diphtheria, pertussis, DPT immunization, but we are rare in other vaccines. But they can occur because whenever the insert effect mentioned the adverse effects, it can occur periodically, but it occurs in there. So basics of approach to AFI is a known complication. Anticipation is very important, and once occur, it should be handled as per the standard protocol. And probably if these specific measures are required, in case of anaphylactic, it should be documented in chronology with absence with the sequence of the resuscitation measures. And in spite of this, sometimes it's very rare. When it occurs there, what it is, what is the problem? So, if occurs there, it is a gross negligence in view of the attempted standard. Is a if one has attempted standard research measures, it is not a gross negligence. But if that is not there, then it is a gross negligence. So each of the office, wherever the vaccine is given, one should have the emergency tray or the emergency medicines if any anaphylaxis occurs. So oxygen is also must in OPD practice if you are giving vaccine. That is the segment not the gross negligence. So what we should do, probably I will take 1 or 2 lines from there, wait for half an hour. After every vaccine given, we should make them wait. And even office vaccine, this should be all the emergency things, important numbers should be there with the office people, with our staff. So in case anything happens, one can call the police or a colleague to immediately reach the site. Management of anaphylactic reactions, I will except for topic, but I will not go in the details of what is the important aspect of that. I will not, everybody knows anaphylaxis, so I will just keep this thing. But every consultant or every pediatrician should know how to manage anaphylactic reaction. We will not discuss, but the main thing of treatment is adrenaline. Easy accessibility or short expiry, that is the issue with adrenaline. So adrenaline is always accessible at the reach of the hand. नहीं तो बहुत टाइम होने के बाद हम आइडेंटिटी ढूंढते रह जाते हैं कहाँ रखा है और देखते तो एक्सपायरी so this should be there. So I will not go into this. The only one thing ampullopharyngeal take is for the pharyngeal survey. I think so one should always have this at handy, and may not at the end of the day one can discard it seriously, one can discard it adrenaline, but now there is another form of adrenaline also come, but it is very costly, but it is cheaper. So in spite of standard measures that occur, this is still for topics, I will not go into detail, but what one should be aware of that 1 or 2 lines I will say about it. What next, which vaccine causes very there, but it's from fast recognition, PWH is looking at more bodies, the ways of problems looking at, so इसको छोड़ देते हैं. So what are the options available? आपको सभी options मालूम हैं, but the best option is always informing the police and always call the police. The police who will run for you, who will leave their OPD and run for you. Those and probably should run if anything happens. And most of the problem, I will just keep because but only the things if we inform police, we should be very carefully documenting the things properly. All should be documented properly and keep as it is. Whatever resuscitation one has done, it should be kept as it is because if they do Panchanama, it goes on record. So don't fear of the things, keep as it is and let them and all use needles, whatever is there, it should be there. And how to inform, will not go in detail, most of everybody knows. Important, always try to order PM and no DC. And then this I will give. Always calling the colleague is very helpful. And calling on influencing personalities, I will give to you. If you have good connection, call politicians, otherwise not. Social workers, they are dangerous. And that I want to just say. If any final most of the doctors try to solve the problem, they go for final settlement, only one line. Supreme Court of India says, do not give any cash or check to the patient out of person without proper alignment. That settlement is known as consent terms agreement. So that one should be able to know. And this I will see. वो तो न्यूज़पेपर में आके रहेगा, please do not justify, don't go to the principal justify all the things, it all always opinion thing, but if someone comes, answer scientifically. So this I will just keep, and everybody knows all these forums are there, but then where one has to report on AFI. Just last slide, with all 5 forums which are mentioned here, the only worries of forum is FIR. FIR होने के बाद तुरंत पुलिस आ जाती है, तो उस टाइम पे आपको केयरफुल रहना पड़ता है, अपना डॉक्यूमेंट्स परफेक्ट रहना चाहिए। बाकी टाइम में आपको टाइम मिल जाता है, for 15 days whatever notice is there, you get the secretary. And also one more point I want to, कोई भी medical incident होने के बाद कोई भी विषय होने के बाद at least one can file a complaint for the limitation period 2 years है, वो ध्यान में रखिए। तो ये फिर बाद में फिर complaint कैसे बाद हुआ है, तो 2 years for consumer and another period of limitation 3 years 6 years. Whether one has to report a effect to whom and how to go about it. So it has to be reported to concerned authorities. आपके जो भी एरिया में सिविल सर्जन, डिस्ट्रिक्ट अथॉरिटी, one has to report the things and that has to be reported. I will not know the details. If by mistake, this is the important thing, the vaccine of expiry date has been developed and can notice that to the labor and the FIR. हमारे एरिया में एक इंसिडेंस हुए जिसमें फाइल में स्टिकर लगा दिया है, डॉक्टर ने देखा नहीं है, मगर बाद में पेरेंट्स ने नोटिस दिया स्टिकर ऑफ एक्सपायरी वैक्सीन रश पीरियड में without noting, without seeing the label, he just put the label and expired it. And one of the cases they did FIR immediately, इसको ये दिया वैक्सीन. So how to go about it? अगर वर्क होता है तो उसको कैसे करना चाहिए इसको हम? What one can do? Any pediatrician wants to? ये आम बात है, हर pediatrician आप उसकी कोई pediatrician बोला होता है ना आपको
इन्फॉर्म करना है, डिस्कशन करना है कि कभी भी ऐसा नहीं है कि एक दिन की एक्सपायरी पे कोई चीज़ हो जाती है करके, अगर 3 मंथ फॉरवर्ड है तो उसको रिपीट डेफिनेट इंटरवल की बात करेंगे, ऑब्जर्वेशन के लिए करना है और डिस्कशन का ही बेसिकली।
This FIR, when FIR was made to the police called the doctor, pediatrician, कि आपको आना, आपने एक्सपायरी दिया है तो कैसे करना है, तो then that doctor called the doctor. There is nothing not to worry because obviously one thing one should remember, दो एक्सपायरी हो जाने के बाद भी उसका that doesn't have adverse effect, potency may increase but not extremely better. So in this case what we did, we asked the company जो से वैक्सीन दिया था वो कंपनी को इमीडिएटली कांटेक्ट किया, we want all the literature of years, if the expiry vaccine is given, what is the stand of a company, what is the stand of the your literature. वो उन्होंने तुरंत मेल किया and then we attached the reply and it was submitted to police station. After the thing settled, but the important what I want to, so this was regarding compact 5 vaccine and this one, this is in reference to the and screen पे काम नहीं कर रहे हैं. So if given after expiry date, there are no adverse events affecting 24-hour vaccine. The vaccine contains safe and harmless, but it does not need any further attention. And this is one should remember vaccine administration and storage is handled by CDC, Chapter 7, page 115. Only one line I want to explain. Immunity and antigens may be can be compromised on expired vaccine depending on the post-treatment period. Hence, in the interest of child that is fully protected, an additional single dose can be given, and after 1 month in case of the vaccine. So, इसमें ये लिखा है, and then it is also not readable, but then I will just read it for you. Doses of expired vaccines that are administered inaccurately generally should not be counted as valid and should be repeated. Inactivated vaccines should generally be repeated as soon as possible, and live vaccines should be given after 1 month. So that is if expired vaccine is given. So if the inactivated ones can be given immediately or the next day, but the live vaccines should be given after 1 month. So then, after how many days after vaccines are adverse? So these are fever, convulsions, and abscess are there. And if above which hospitalization is doctor likely to pay? Probably not. But we don't have anything. So concluding slide, immunization is an invasive procedure. Proxy informed express is mandatory. A adverse effects polyimmunization lung complication, to anticipate and treat as per standard protocol and do there to document the necessary measures, inform police in case of issue, report the AFI to the appropriate authority, and office practice should always have the emergency measures to treat the adult polyimmunization. And to conclude, once again I will stress upon, please by practicing this area of consumerism, one should analyze, one should anticipate what the things are there, one should learn proper documentation, good communication. Please introspect ourselves at the end of the day. If that patient happens to be our relatives, what I would have done, and probably limitation. We should recognize our limitation of the practice. After we practice our ethics may not be 100%, but as far as possible, 60-70%. And always, Dr. Ashish Jain, our patient already said, prevention better than cure. And probably one has to redefine, reanalyze, retrospect vaccination practice if the obviously are consumerism. Thank you very much. Any questions?
I invite our next speaker, Dr. Ashish Jain. He has come from Gurugram and he will be speaking on the topic, issuing a medical certificate. Is it that simple? I request Dr. Lenky Agarwal to please introduce him.
Dr. Ashish Jain, welcome, Kashipur. Dr. Jain, consultant pediatrician, medical legal advisor, Gurgaon, Haryana. Ethics Association, member of the board of medical legal negligence committee, District Gurgaon. National consultant member IYLCF guidance 2023 to 2016. Star of the Year Award, National Medical Legal Conference, Sri Arulio University, Indore. These IMA Haryana State President Award 2019 Medical Legal Issues. Medical Legal Special Association Award MSME Ethiopia. Organization 71st Annual Conference of IMLA 2018 Gurgaon. Conducted organizing IPA Pediatrical Workshop North Zone. Expert consulting reviewer of development of EOS and Malaysia. Associated Editor, Ethical Issue, GIA, Associate Editor, Upcoming Reference, Book on Common Difficulty Situations, Awards and Recognition, Appreciation Award, IAP Program Branch, Post-Medical Law of Doctor from Institute of Medicine. Thank you.
Important topic, which is issuing the medical certificate. So, is it that easy? This is an important topic, and as we know that issuing a medical certificate is one of the most underestimated, overused, but abused document in our clinical practice. So let's see what are the implications of issuing a medical certificate. So in general terms, a medical certificate, sometimes referred to as a doctor's certificate, is a statement from a physician or other healthcare provider that attests to the result of a medical examination of a patient. So it can serve as a signal or an evidence of a health condition. What are the purposes and applications of a medical certificate? First, to indicate eligibility of any activity, such as use of disabled parking, etc. To make an insurance claim, to describe a medical condition a person has, such as blindness or any other infirmity.
when making an application for something, for example, eye examination for driving license or any jobs, to certify that someone is free of any kind of disease or contagious disease, drug addiction, mental illness or health issues or fitness certificates, to obtain certain health benefits from an employer. Then finally to issue a death certificate and stating the cause of death. So these are the basic general principles or purposes for what a medical certificate is needed. So issuing a medical certificate for a patient may be a common and routine process. However, it comes with its own particular responsibilities. These are not only the clinical responsibilities, but ethical and legal responsibilities as well. And rampant violations where medical certificates not corroborating the illness or false certificates are being issued right and left in a very casual manner. So what are the guidelines for issuing a medical certificate? Medical certificates are legal documents. I repeat, these are legal documents, and medical practitioners who deliberately issue a false, misleading or inaccurate certificate could face disciplinary action under the Indian Medical Council Professional Conduct Etiquettes and Ethics Regulation Act 2002. Medical practitioners can assist their patients by displaying a notice to this effect in their vehicles. It should be legible, that is clear enough to read. It should include your name and practice address, possibly on your prescription slip, including your registration number. You should clearly state the name of the patient, including other details. Identify the nature and probable duration of illness. Then reference. It is an important point. The specific reference should be mentioned. To whom are we referring? We are into a habit of writing to whomsoever it may concern. That actually doesn't work. So we need to change our practice and we need to address it to the specific party. Example, school authority, employer, insurer, magistrate or any other authority. And then what is the purpose of your certificate? That has to be clearly mentioned. For example, fitness, swimming or admission to any organization, etc. It should be supported by a thorough and appropriate physical examination wherever and whenever necessary. Identification marks supposed to be mentioned. These are the national guidelines. So we need to follow each and everything once we issue a medical certificate. Then supporting documents in favor of the illness should be included as per the patient's medical reports. It should be preferably serial number. So we should have a medical certificate registered and we should make entries to it, and even once we issue a medical certificate, it should be serial number. Signature or thumb impression of a patient or guardian with identification mark is very important and is a must. Suppose we have written a whole medical certificate, finally an acknowledgement by the guardian or the accompanying person has to be made so that it is authenticated that he so and so, the so and so guardian has received this medical certificate. Always keep a copy of certificate. This could be a Xerox copy, carbon copy, or a digital copy if at all you are doing digital prescriptions. If more than one copy has to be issued, then you have to mark it as duplicate. Maintain a separate medical certificate register. And then you just mention all the details, purpose, countersigned by the one who is taking this certificate. Date of examination. So specify the date and time, preferably when the examination took place. Specify the date when the certificate was issued. You can backdate the date you have issued the certificate, implying you examine the patient on a different day. But if the illness or incapacity started before the examination, certificate should clearly state the date of examination and make it clear that your assessment is based on the history provided by the patient and your examination findings. Let's say we have an example wherein a certain patient came to me today on 20th of August for a certificate and I have examined him for the first time. But he has gone to another doctor for his illness for the last 5 days and he needs a certificate for the same. So actually the second opinion of the second doctor should issue a certificate only once he has come into picture and not for the previous 5 days. But if at all you are issuing it, then you have to write the history of fever 5 days and being seen by so and so doctor. Then there is something called an error certificate. It can be issued if you consider a person cannot work because they need to support or care for a sick family member. Only the doctor of the person who requires care should issue a error certificate, if at all. Then avoid medical jargon or abbreviations as in your routine prescriptions. Avoid writing to whomsoever may concern, I have already told you. And don't issue it in absentee, a very important point. We are into a habit of issuing somebody some notification of us or this, doctor, I am here, I cannot come, I pay you the fees and please issue a certificate. Please never do this. Please never do this. There are so many repercussions for the same. And never issue a false medical certificate. Very common and routine practice. That is why I told our medical certificate is most underestimated, overused and abused document, and it is a legal document. So, now how to verify a medical certificate? So, we can be asked, a doctor can be asked to verify a medical certificate if at all a patient party has produced it for insurance purposes or any other legal such as an employer to verify the information of medical certificate. So, verify the identity of the person making the request. Ask to see a copy of the certificate in question, confirm if the certificate is genuine and completed by you or not. No other information should be given without express patient consent. What if a doctor considers issuing a medical certificate to be inappropriate? So you need to carefully explain your reasons to the patient and carefully document the conversation with the medical report. So there is something called as documentation, which is the most important thing in medical legal practice. So document even the negative consent and everything in your reports. What if a patient alters a certificate? Consider your ongoing relationship with the patient following the breach of trust on an individual basis. Can decide to terminate the doctor-patient relationship and appropriate authorities might be informed. So requirement to give evidence or justify the certificate to a board, tribunal, board or any other authority. Clearly record the diagnosis and assessment that form the basis of the medical certificate in your clinical notes. Could be required to give evidence. A request from family or friends is a very dicey situation and it has to be dealt very carefully and cautiously whenever your family member, relative or friend requests a medical certificate from you. In my clinical practice till date, what I do is, if at all I am in this place right now and somebody who is staying there who my relative ask for a medical certificate. So I just simply tell them that you go to your nearest doctor and get a valid exemption and get it issued because that will only be valid and not mine. So you need to communicate it back to your relatives and avoid the situation as far as possible. Now what are the legal consequences of issuing a false certificate? It can be taken under IPC and criminal penal code offences under section 463, 464 of the IPC, punishment under section 465 IPC, and the punishment would range from 3 years imprisonment and fine or more or life sentence. There are also amounts to forgery and even the your name from the medical council register could be struck down. There are numerous incidences. You could see the lowest category where medical council suspended a doctor for issuing fake medical certificates. So as per Supreme Court, any certificate, any false or fake certificate is a grave misconduct. Dismissal of service is justified in such cases. And as we all know, this famous actor's case, controversial death, Sushant Singh Rajput, where a certificate was issued by a doctor, a cardiologist from Argyle Hospital, and antipsychotic and antidepressive treatment was being offered to him in return. So this doctor was booked under the IPC and Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act and finally taken to task. This prescription was provided by his sister and was signed by a cardiologist. I am just putting the real copy of that prescription wherein all the antipsychotic, antidepressive drugs have been mentioned by officials could come to us anytime. Lastly, what is the maximum duration for which one doctor can issue a certificate? So any physician can issue a certificate for a maximum days of 15 days. This is also a maximum that doesn't give you the liberty for any patient to issue a certificate for 15 days. If at all you cannot justify or the patient's illness cannot justify the duration of rest, if you feel that it is only 5 days and you need to, then you give a certificate for only 5 days and not 15 days. If needed to reissue, which is a rare instance, see the patient again. And let's say there is a case of orthopedics who is traumatized, is on total treatment for almost 2 months. He asks for a certificate. He is not going to his job for so he reissued it in 15 days. That will also give you a follow-up for the patient and again. So legally speaking, you cannot issue it for more than 15 days. If at all the situation arises, then only a civil surgeon or a CMO can issue it for 2 months, considering all the facts, and more than 2 months, then it has to be through a consent of a medical board. Retain the report for at least 3 years, which is a medical certificate. So prevention is better than cure. I think this is the take-home message, and always prevention outweighs the cure as far as medical legal implications are concerned. Thank you for the
I now request and invite our next speaker, Dr. Verma, to come on stage, please. He will be speaking on how to avoid medical legal issues and litigations in medical sectors.
PGTM, LS, Consultant Physician, Medical Legal Advisor, Vice President, Indian Medical Legal and Ethics Association, Member, Medical Legal Association, Medical Legal Action Group, Medical Legal Consultant, MIC Private Limited, Apex Insurance Consultants Limited, District Associate Officer, SP College of Law, Kashipur, Faculty of Medicine, State and National Convention. Welcome to
Friends have said in the morning also that because of the increased awareness among the general public regarding the medical legal issues and compensation, now the doctors have also become quite aware because of facing these problems for so many years. And for the last 5 or 6 years, I have noticed that doctors are also become very cautious and they are following these medical legal principles and precautions in their practice. And I know so many of my colleagues in Kashipur only and in other places that they are following these principles to avoid any medical legal issue in their practice, and they are maintaining their reports also quite accurately. But as we know, this medical profession is treated as a noble profession, and we have to follow medical ethics also. I know about autonomy, medical non-medical justice, confidentiality, and everything. But at this very point of time, we have to create a realistic approach. Because not every patient is going to file a case against the doctor. But we should treat every case as a potential injury. That means every patient has got a potential to file a case against the doctor. I don't mean to say that every patient will do this, but if we keep this thing in mind, then we will be cautious and we will protect ourselves from filing in the patients. Howsoever a patient will be sweet in counseling, he may file a case whenever he thinks fit that or he thinks that some negligence has been committed against him by the doctor. Doctor and patient relationship is fiduciary in nature. That means it is based mainly on trust. Doctor should have a very good rapport and should have very good communication skills while dealing with the patient. For the doctor, it is told and it is written in our NMC ethics also, NMC guidelines also, recently issued, that the doctor should look towards the patient as a human body which is suffering from some disturbances and some disease processes going on. But I would like to differ in this aspect, that the doctor should treat the patient not as a disease body, but he should realize that what appears to be disease for ourselves, for patient it is a disrupted life. He is not interested in knowing what chemical process is going inside his or our own body, but he wants to get rid of it, and he is interested more in that. So a doctor should listen very carefully to the patient, should be very empathetic, and doctor should have good empathy with the patient. And that will really create a good patient and doctor relationship. And I have seen in many cases that in some situations where there is a mistake by the doctor, even in that case, patient will not do anything against the doctor. And if you follow what is told to take informants, then it is a shared decision regarding the treatment, and this is a doctor-patient partnership. And in which, when the patient has been explained very well regarding the mode of treatment, what modalities are there to treat the patient, and what the risks are there in treatment, and what are the chances of recovery, then if the patient understands that and gives consent, then he is also responsible for whatever the result is there. Whatever the result is there. We should be very careful about the paramedical staff also, that they should also behave with the patient in a humble manner, and they should not make any statements which are contradictory to what the understanding is there between the doctor and the patient. As far as medical reports are concerned, proper documentation is must. And it has been said, and very rightly said, that when a case goes to the court, then whatever is documented inside the case sheets, whatever there in front of the judge, then the events which have been documented, those events have happened. And whichever is not documented, that has not happened. For example, there was some emergency with the patient, and the doctor says that I have done my all efforts to save the patient, but it is not documented. That means the doctor has not done that treatment has not been given to the patient, and that will go against the doctor. So these things, whatever efforts are done by the doctor towards the patient, towards the recovery of the patient or treatment of the patient, those should be well documented. These reports are to be maintained. There are specific guidelines, and then for MCI, as far as NMC says, that in case of indoor patients, the reports are to be maintained for a period of 3 years, and in CPA, these are to be maintained for 2 years, but for rule of discovery, that means when the cause of action has arisen, then that depends, and it depends on the control of the level. Now, previously it was a section of MCI that the reports are to be issued on the requested patient within a period of 72 hours, but this has been now changed to the issuing of these medical reports on request by the patient or by the authorized representative within 5 working days, and it should be done early as possible in case of emergency. Always remember that good reports are good defense, poor reports are poor defense, and there is no defense in good reports are there. As far as treatment is concerned, I will not go in much detail because I know that most of the doctors which are present here, they are well aware of these basic things, how the treatment should be there on the prescription paper, what are the many aspects that we followed, like treatment notes, SR card notes, distribution, transfer letter or referral letter what it should contain. As far as medical certificates are concerned, how Dr. Ashita has just talked about that, and various registers which are to be maintained, especially when doctors are quite well aware of that. One should like to mention about one thing, that there should be no tampering in case of case sheets, because it is a very easiest thing to be seen and to be discovered by the court. There is some tampering has been done. There is a case of Uttrakhand versus the hospital, in which a compensation of 80 lakh was awarded by the CDRC for the hospital particular of the doctor, but because of tampering of evidence, an additional penalty of 10 lakh was imposed upon the doctor. So tampering of evidence should not be done in any case. Regarding prescription, it should contain detailed history, clinical examination finding, investigation finding, provisional diagnosis, treatment trial, dietary advice, and precautions when the treatment is there. And if the patient does not follow the advice of the doctor, then non-compliance should be mentioned on the treatment before the prescription. Important thing is that do not give any prescription without actual examination of the patient. And to write over the prescription, because for any investigation report that it is not just for medical legal purpose, it is not to be produced in the court of law, it has got no legal record. When it is produced in the court will not take into consideration, because all these papers, all these prescriptions and investigation reports, these are legal documents. Regarding medical certificate, detailed knowledge about this has been given by Dr. Ashita just now, and I would like to emphasize once again that medical certificate is very well a legal document, and it is admissible in the court of law as an evidence, and producing a false medical certificate, the court will have to be a false evidence, and for that under section 197 of IPC, there can be punishment in form of imprisonment and or fine to the law. As far as this, then we come to the next part where we should be cautious. Nowadays, this is the part of consent, and this consent should be there in every case. It should be explicit consent, or it can be implied consent. What is one of the important things to be kept in mind is that in cases of sterility operations, I am not going into detail how the consent is to be taken, what the features of consent, because I presume that all are aware of this, that will take unnecessary time. I will emphasize upon the main features that we should be taken into consideration for the purpose of caution. In case of sterilization, consent of both husband and wife is required. But in the previous guidelines of NCI, it was written like this. But now, in the recent guidelines of NCI, they have added that consent of both husband and wife is required in case of sterilization operations. But if the life of the patient is in danger, then consent of only one of them will find. That will do. Now, the very important thing is regarding surveillance. In cases of high risk, we take patients who are serious, we take high risk, but there is a principle of taking double consent. Double consent means that the patient himself has been given consent, and some other person also is given consent, and that person is not to be taken as a witness, but that person is giving consent as such on behalf of the patient. This consent should be legally valid consent, and the patient who is giving consent should verify, we should confirm that the person is competent to give consent. That means, without consent, the person should be more than 18 years of age, then he or she can give consent. And consent of the minors, the consent of either of the patient will. It should be a free consent. Free consent means that the person who is giving consent is giving consent on his or her own will, and that consent is not influenced by any misrepresentation of facts or by fraud. So it should be a free consent. There should be adequate disclosure from part of the doctor. Then what should be the features of this informed consent? The doctor should explain to the patient the diagnosis, by which the doctor is going to treat the patient, what is the nature of the disease, the certain purpose of the proposed treatment, expected outcome, whatever is there. Doctor must have there that there are different alternatives for it. And the doctor should explain and should tell and should disclose that whatever alternatives are there, is there some alternative which is better. He should tell it to the patient, and whether that better alternative is available with that doctor or not. If it is not available with the doctor, he should also tell about this. If the doctor explains very well about the risks which are entailed in the treatment of the patient, this will prevent unrealistic expectations by the patient. And whatever the result is there, because after consultation, after thinking over it, patient is giving consent, so he will also be equally responsible whatever the results are. And the doctor should not should not keep the features of some of these risks and the results, whatever are expected, undisclosed in apprehension of losing the patient. That is not acceptable. These these are not legal requirements, and these legal requirements are to refute any allegations of medical negligence by the patient. If the doctors they follow these legal principles, these medical principles, then this is going to help in a very big way to the doctor. What is different from this informed consent? Now, we see in Indian perspective, it is the real and valid consent which is required, and that is that is adjudicated by Supreme Court in case of Dr. Samira Kohli versus Dr. Ram. And the Supreme Court has said that in Indian perspective, where most of the patients are illiterate and they don't have much understanding of the medical science, they should be competent to give consent, and the doctor should explain the minimum of the possible risk and alternative treatment which are important in that particular case. Then the doctor should explain about the risk of refusal and should explain whatever the risk involved in the patient is not willing to undertake. And that should also not be highlighted then what is required, because that will also harm the patient. Now there are certain procedures which can be done on verbal consent. These include police catheterization, lines to suction, PC, oral suction, various ABG samples, eye injections, vaccination, etc. And for written consent, any medical treatment which is a risk to the life and can cause fatal death or can lead to adverse events. In these cases, a written consent is required. These are various situations in which this written consent is required. These are all surgeries under global CCI advanced complex testing procedure, contrast with CT, MRI, ultrasound, this CT endoscopy under CCR, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, most live vaccines, blood transfusions, blood tests, for example, HIV and hepatitis. Then we should, while treating the patient, if we want to avoid these allegations about medical negligence, and if we want to avoid any such situation in which we may be held negligent, so we should keep in mind these simple facts and these events which have happened in other doctors while we are treating the patient. Doctors should never try to treat beyond his or her expertise. That means he should not treat the patient beyond his or her competence. Should always ask to take a second opinion, or the patient should be referred to. The doctor should not claim himself to be a specialist unless some special qualification is there, and that has been very well documented and in the recent guidelines issued by the Doctor should not employ unqualified staff. And in one case, unqualified nurse was held liable by NCDRC and the hospital was asked to become a patient. The doctor must take the patient in emergency. That is required as per our code of medical ethics also, and it is required as in law passed by Supreme Court in case of Parman Katara versus Union of India, and this is according to our Article 21 of Indian Constitution, which says there is an obligation of the state or government hospitals to preserve the life of the patient. During emergency, when you are treating a patient, you should always maintain your calmness, and telephonic advice in cases of emergency should be avoided. There was a recent case in case of Dr. Deepa Bhaskar versus State of Maharashtra, where the doctor was held negligent. In that case, criminal complaint was filed against her, and the doctor was able to take anticipated bail from Supreme Court. Doctor should follow a course of treatment which is followed by a sizable majority of that session. And the person, whether it is not, it is rather theoretical. If even an opinion of the doctors which is totally against their line of treatment exists, but if the line of treatment which is adopted by a doctor that is supported by another sizable majority, then the doctor is working well what the medical treatment says. Now, for complications which are normally there in case of any manual treatment or any surgical procedure, we know that many complications those are common. And doctor is not negligent when after treatment or after surgery procedure any complication is there. When it is to be treated as a negligence, when the doctor does not recognize it, so the complication should be recognized at the earliest, and the doctor should try to correct the complication as per established medical practice. In this case of Kapil Agrawal versus Sarvodaya Hospital, NCDRC absorbed the doctor because in this case the patient after cesarean operation had died, and the doctor was alleged to be negligent by the related to the patient. But when the case went to NCDRC, the doctor was not held liable and the doctor was absolved. What complications occurred in this case? Those were actually handled by the doctor in the normal way, but the patient could not use it. Even then, the doctor was then what efforts doctors have done to save the patient in complication there, those should be well documented, and the attendants should be also made aware that you have done these efforts. Doctors should never discharge a patient with post-surgery complications which are suffered during hospitalization. Patient should never be sent home without treating those complications. If the complications are not resolved, then the patient should be referred to hospital. Hospital should be very well equipped. Whatever case which the hospital takes, the hospital should be well equipped to deal with that case and to deal with the complications which are existing. Now, post-operative orders should be written by the surgeon in the anesthetist before leaving the hospital and before shifting the patient. Very recently, in November 2022 only, government doctors of Rajiv Gandhi Government Hospital Chennai were suspended after negative period for cause. I think all must have heard about this case for not monitoring and releasing the pressure of the patient. The pressure was not released. The gangrene cut in one of the feet of the father, and she was shifted to another higher center. She was operated, she was kept in ICU, but she could not be saved, and the doctors were suspended and inquiry was over, it was over. Always complete all the records before taking In case of hospital wellness, the entry should be restricted, surveillance and security should be there for prevention. The doctors should complete reports before giving their motive, and then the police should be. Then the doctor should inform the lawyer association members, non-medical friends should also be informed, and if the doctor knows some politician, then the politician should also be involved, because whosoever, either doctor or the affected party, informs the politician first, it is expected then that the politician will take side of that party. And the doctor should explain the concern of the hospital and the doctor to the witness. These are some important general precautions. We caution while we are speaking ICU, and there should be no cross-medical practice. The examination of the patient should be done in presence of the staff or by doctor or in presence of the patient. For the safety action, always expiry date, never certify of the death unless the doctor has visited the case or needs information in the medical case. And in these cases, the police has to be informed. These are death with suspicion of foul play, OT that sexual offense, in case of roadside accident, and injury due to violence. Death of the pregnant female or if the female had delivered within 6 weeks, then the police should be informed. Always inform police when the female dies within 7 years of marriage, and always remember if a case of birth comes to any hospital, then the police must be informed, and the police will take this case as a case of dowry death in case of birth, unless it is proved otherwise. And the police officer equal to DSP of the rank of police, he will investigate. So it is very important in cases of birth where the lady has died before the period of 7 years. So these are very simple tips. This is the last slide. These are very simple tips to follow. One should be aware of the regulations that relate to professional conduct and provisions of law. Provisions of law, as per specialty, that is very important for doctors to know. In a very recent case, Karnataka High Court refused to quash FIR in HPP of minor against the gynecologist, and the court has said that it is not a matter of punishment, but it is a matter of concern that the gynecologist is doing FPP in case of minor, and she doesn't know about the provisions of law, and this FIR was filed against the gynecologist under POSCO Section 21. Doctor has to maintain record of communications with the patient. There should be proper documentation, valid consent. There should be precautions against violence, and this has been told, and the doctor should take proper medical care. And now, take home message is that while you all observe these precautions, while you are treating the patients, the most important is to take care of your own health, for which only you are responsible. And the patient, if you say that you are unhealthy and you go to the patient, where the patient will go, so don't worry, the patient will go somewhere else if it is not treated by you, and if you are not fit, then the patient will also not care for you. So take care of your health, be healthy and be safe.
Thank you, sir, for sharing such crucial information with us. It's time for last but not the least lecture of the first session. I now invite Dr. Rishi Bhatia. He's come all the way from Meerut to be with us. He'll be speaking on what is new in CPA 2019, Doctors Must Know. The chairman, please introduce him.
Dr. Rishi Bhatia, in this Imleacon, Uttrakhand. Dr. Rishi Bhatia, in past National President, Indian Medical Legal Assistant Profession. He has done his MBBS, MS, Surgery, LLB, ED, ML, PGD, MLT, DSL, and D Pharma. He is a non-laparoscopic and general surgeon, medical legal advisor in UPIM and UP Nursing Home, ex-secretary IMA Mirror and Nursing Association Mirror, member district organ transplant activation committee, member district MCP committee. Again, we welcome Dr. Bhatia in this project. Please start your own lecture.
Thanks for your kind introduction. I'm grateful to the organizers for giving me the opportunity. The topic I'm covering, the Consumer Protection Act 2019, what is new. This was introduced in Lok Sabha on 8th July 2019 and was passed in Lok Sabha on 30th July and Rajya Sabha on 6th of August, Gazette notification on 9th of August, and rules were notified on 15th of July, and it is effective since 20th July 2020. Earlier the name was Forum, Consumer Forum. Now it is State Commission, District Commission, National Commission. Earlier the complaint was lodged physically. Now complaint can be filed electronically or by email. And even hearings or examination of parties can be done by video conferencing. It is deemed admitted if not considered within 21 days. Time given to opposite party for reply is 30 days and extended for 15 days. Now a new facility has been given of mediation. The case can be referred for mediation if both parties agree. It should be decided in 3 months, but practically it is not being done. Earlier also there was a time limit, but it is not being done in 3 months. On request of any party within 30 days of order, the commission, whether state, district or national, can review on order. The service of the notice can be done by registered post, speed post, courier service, and maybe by electronic means. The services covered include telemedicine. Earlier it was not there, but now telemedicine is also covered. Advertisement by the website, electronic network. Whatever we are giving in the network, in the electronic media, that is covered by the commission. Public interest litigation can be filed by any consumer or consumer association. This is a very new thing. Even for a person who is not member of the association, for the benefit of all consumers. It means if any citizen of India feels any problem with the consumer complaint, whether he is a member of the association or not a member of the association, he can file litigation in the public interest in district commission, state commission or national commission. Experts can assist national commission or state commission, but cannot assist the district commission. This is discrepancy of the new consumer. Legal hearing representative can file case after death of the consumer. This is a new facility. Earlier, with the death of the complainant or the doctor or the opponent, the case was closed. Now, legal hearing representative can file case after death of the consumer, and even after death or the undergoing suit, the party or the opposite party or the complainant party, their legal hearing will be included as a party, and they will compensate if compensation is granted by the commission. Earlier, territorial jurisdiction was where the patient was operated. Now, it is where complainant and opposite party decide or personally work for gains. consumer can file complaint from the place where he or she residing or where he or she is having office. If patient is operated in Chennai and he or she belongs to Uttar Pradesh or Lucknow, then they can file complaint in Lucknow also. Appeal of district commission in the same state. If you want that the appeal of the Chennai commission, district commission to be transferred to the Uttar Pradesh, that cannot be done. That will be within the limit of the Tamil Nadu. Similarly, if you want to transfer the case from one commission, district commission to other, that will be within the state, not outside the state. Only national commission can transfer from one state to other state. Pecuniary jurisdiction. Earlier, the pecuniary jurisdiction was depending upon the demand by the patient. What compensation has been demanded? Now, the pecuniary jurisdiction depends upon what payment has been made. So, the principle of pecuniary jurisdiction has been changed. Earlier, in district commission, it was up to 1 crore. Now, it has been revised on 30th December 2021. District commission jurisdiction is up to rupees 50 lakh. State commission between rupees 50 lakh to 2 crore and national commission beyond 2 crore. No fee for services paid up to 5 lakh. If the patient has paid less than 5 lakh, there will be no fees to be paid. Now, in the new consumer act, some new terminologies have been added. Unfair trade practices, restrictive trade practices, unfair contract, and negligence. In negligence services, some new subjects have been included. Deliberate withholding of relevant information to consumer, that is incomplete discharge card. If you are not giving full information in the discharge card, that also is covered as negligence. Did not issue adequate instructions or warning to prevent any harm. If you have not instructed the patient to take precautions after discharge, after giving consultation in OPD, then it is presumed as negligence. If you don't suggest the patient after surgery of hernia, don't go upstairs, don't lift weight. If such instructions have not been given, then it is considered as negligence in service. E-commerce, electronic network, telemedicine, Plecto, Jaddial, Prestige, these are services. If are inadequate, they are covered in consumer code, consumer commission. Unfair trade practices, adopting unfair methods. Any false or misleading representation of need or usefulness of services. If you suggest your services which are not desired in the treatment, then you are alleged for unfair trade practices. Giving false or misleading facts, disparaging the services of another person, that is a type of medical jousting that comes under unfair trade practices. Any false or misleading advertisement that comes under unfair trade practices. If you fail to issue bill or receipt to the patient, that comes under unfair trade practice. Disclosing personal or confidential information of consumer, which was also earlier in the professional confidentiality, it comes under unfair trade practice. Manipulation of price or charges. If you give bill to the patient, which was not earlier disclosed, and now you manipulate the prices that come under restricted rate practices. Excessive charges of price of bill. If you have any express list in the hospital and you charge excessive, that comes under restricted rate practices. If you charge excessive on the agreed billing, before admission you had agreed and disclosed the charges, and you charge excessive, that comes in excessive rate practice. Services which may be hazardous to life and safety, similar to IPC 269 to 70, they come under restricted rate practice. Unfed contract. If you ask patient to deposit the amount excessively as a security, then it is unfed rate contract. Transferring contract to third party without consent of consumer. If you take consent from the patient for surgery, for yourself, but you get it operated from another surgeon, then it is unfair contract. Terminating a contract without reasonable cause, without giving any reasonable notice to the patient, abruptly if you terminate any contract, it is unfair contract. And imposing unreasonable charges, just like charges for medical legal injury report. This is not allowed in the commission. Penalties. No penalty for frivolous or vexatious complaint. Earlier there was a penalty for consumer if he fails to confirm the allegation and frivolous writ is filed, then there was a penalty. Now it has been taken away. For non-compliance of any commission order, there is imprisonment of 1 month to 3 years, or fine 25,000 to 1 lakh or both. Appeal for non-compliance of commission order only in district, state or national commission, not in any court. If you don't comply the order of the commission, then you cannot go in appeal in any court except in district or state or national commission. No appeal in case decided on mediation. If you have opted for the mediation and you have settled the case in mediation, you cannot go for appeal in any court. For appeal, not from district to state or state to national, you have to deposit 50% of the amount awarded. Then your appeal will be heard. In national commission, if case involves substantial question of law, only then you go to appeal to the national commission. A mediation process has been introduced in the new act. There is a consumer mediation cell in every district, state or national commission, and that will be, mediators will be, there will be a list of mediators which will be finalized by the chairman of the commission. It consists of mediators already selected, and from among the mediators, your case will be sent to 2 or 3 of the mediators from them. On filing the case, commission would refer for mediation if both parties agree and give consent within 5 days of direction of the commission. Commission would refer for mediation within 5 days of consent of the other parties. On settlement, either complete or partial, mediators would submit report to commission, who would pass orders within 7 days of the commission. Mediator fee to be paid or decided by the president of the commission. There is no fixed mediator fee, it has to be decided by the president of the commission, whether the district, state or national. On unsuccessful mediation, half of this fee would be paid to the mediator. Whatever will be decided by the president, half of the fee will be given to the mediator on unsuccessful. Refund of consumer court fee if settlement reached by mediation. If you have submitted any fee to the consumer commission, that will be refunded if settlement is done by mediation. There will be no mediation in criminal offences or medical negligence resulting in the previous injury. When the process is under mediation, no proceedings can be done anywhere else. No appeal in any commission or court if case is settled by mediation. If the case is settled by mediation, then your option to go for appeal to any court or any commission is lost. There is a new body, Central Consumer Protection Authority, in this new CCP, that was established in effect from 24 July 2020, and this body would deal complaints and investigations for violation of consumer rights, unfair trade practices, false or misleading advertisements. It would consist of the Chief Commissioner, Regional Commissioners, Investigation Wing, which would be having Director General, Additional Director and Joint Director. In CCPA, complaints can be lodged with any of the above authorities. The complaint can be lodged to directly District Collector also. This is a very sensitive point which has been given in the Act. All the above authorities can refer to District Collector. Means District Collector has been given more powers in this Act, either directly or to the above authorities of CCPA. And any complaint can be sent by email, by electronic mode also. This authority can start inquiry or complaint on direction of central government or suo. Without any complaint, there will be recognition by the CCPA of any consumer problem, then it can start suo the case. Besides that, this authority can file complaint to any commission, district, state or national. And this can intervene in the ongoing process of the proceedings in any commission, district, state or national. And after report, it would refer the case to the National Medical Commission, which is a very new thing in this Act. This authority can authorize to enter the premises to Director General, any officer authorized by the Director General or District Collector. Even a District Collector can enter your premises to take any record, any evidence. Appeal against Central Authority can be done in National Commission within 30 days, and penalty for non-compliance of Central Authority is 6 months imprisonment, 20 lakh fine, or both. Now the powers of District Collector are: District Collector can inquire and investigate violation of rights of the consumer, unfair trade practices, false misleading advertisements, and complaint can be lodged to District Collector by anyone, by Central Authority, by Commissioner of Regional Office. Collector can enter or search any premises and seize any documental evidence. And Collector will submit a report to Central Authority or Commissioner of the Regional Office. The implications of the new Act would be due to e-filing, due to video conferencing, due to home time jurisdiction, due to deemed admission after 21 days. Pecuniary jurisdiction rupees 50 lakh in District Commission, no fee up to rupees 5 lakh. Direct complaint to District Collector, Central Authority. This will lead to increase of cost of indemnity insurance. This will lead to cost of hospital bill increase. This will lead to increase in the professional services. This will lead to the increase of the cost of medicine, and this will also lead to the increase in the medical devices. So there are so many complications which may arise after the application of this new consumer. Thank you.
With us, and he will be speaking on important case laws. Welcome, Dr. Satish Tiwari.
Hello.
Very good afternoon, everybody, and thanks to organizers to appoint us in the chair person for this session. As an introduction, Professor Satish Tiwari, very simple and short introduction. He is professor in Nagpur Medical College and he is a founder president of this Imleacon. So short introduction and you will feel the gesture and all things in his personality during this speech. So welcome.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you the organizers again for giving this responsibility of speaking in front of the August gathering. Now whatever we discussed, as we discussed in the inaugural session, the things have rapidly changed in last 15-20 years. You can see the background situation, the doctor's honesty, nobility, patient pain, trust, everything has deteriorated or they are in doldrums. The practice of medicine, which was mission, gradually became profession and now unfortunately is practice of commission. Why this photograph? Somebody asked me. The photograph of Krishna and so some years back, as I said, doctors were supposed to be, they themselves have that feeling or even the patient has feeling. Doctor is something like God. डॉक्टर के पैर जमीन पे नहीं पड़ते ऐसा हम लोगों का कुछ लोगों का कहना था और हम लोग आकाश में उड़ रहे हैं रथ पे बैठ के चल रहे हैं. But that situation has totally changed. We are no more a semi-god or angel. This we have already discussed. We did not stop at commission level. So unfortunately now we have to learn the law or the legal issues. Very important development in last 10 to 15 years. There are many positive and negative changes. And if you see the last 4 lines on this slide, there are many government schemes for the treatment of a patient. Because patient is not paying money, the government is paying the money as per the government laws. Patient feels almost everything is being paid to the hospital or doctor. So now there is no problem that the patient is poor and he does not have money, so I can give poor services to him. This is the concept of the patient, that if the hospitals are getting full charges as per decided by the government, he should get full complete treatment as per his expectation. So showing expectation, degree of accountability has increased and the practice of medicine has changed from nobility to legality. That is a major difference in the practice of medicine. Unfortunately, the two important questions which I always ask or our colleague asks, can money buy life? Yes, how many of you say, can money buy life? No. And can law improve medical services? We are going to discuss important case laws. Can law improve the medical services? Again, please remember, answer is in negative or no. So, all patients can be future litigants. How many of you agree? All patients. If you are seeing 100 patients, will you consider all those 100 as a future litigant? 110. He may be your friend, he may be your relative. Okay, so what? You will stop the practice then? Yes? If every patient is a future litigant, should we stop practice? No. Our suggestion is, every patient is a future litigant. The option with us is maintain proper documenting each and every patient. He may be your close friend, he may be your relative, he may be your teacher, he may be your student. So only precaution, only prevention is to maintain proper documentation. And this is the answer for can money buy life? How many of you can identify the two beautiful ladies? Both of them are no more, so there is no problem in forgetting. Yes, one is Miss Jayanita and second is Miss Aarti Agrawal. Jayanita, everybody knows, she was the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. No problem of money, no problem of power, no problem of availing available health facilities. And Miss Aarti Agrawal was an actress from Hyderabad. Everybody used to tell her that you are very fat, so nobody will accept you as a lead heroine or lead actress. So she went to America for liposuction, and during liposuction there was fat embolism. Again, no question of money. Health services were of America, so we cannot say the poor health services of India. And she died in America for a simple operation of liposuction. And all of us जो रामायण में बिलीव करते हैं, again we are in the era of Rama and Ramayana. So Ramayana says, Anila Jivan Maran Jasabdas Vidila. So again many courts have accepted this, and on that ground they may have said that doctor was not negligent. So please remember, ultimately if you believe in Hindu mythology, the day of the day, time of the day and place of the day is fixed. Whether you are on a two-wheeler, whether you are in a aeroplane, whether you are in a super specialty hospital, or whether you are in any post. Now this is what Dr. Neeraj Nagpal sir was saying. There was a very hard discussion. Are doctors included under CPA? So now we'll discuss important case laws within next 10 or 15 minutes. Please just remind me if I have exceeded the time. So what do you feel? Are doctors are included under CPA? Please remember, yes. This was the 1996 judgment where the Supreme Court says, I went to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court says doctors are included. Which Dr. Neeraj Nagpal is very much annoyed why at that time IMA did not consult medical legal consultant, or why IMA has not asked for the revision or subsequent change in the law. So this case 1996, almost 27 years, doctors were included. Another Supreme Court judgment says that the CPA is a beneficial legislation for the patient. So it is a patient-friendly legislation or law. So please remember again, whatever we do, Neeraj Nagpal sir should not get demotivated. But government is not going to remove doctors from CPA. So please remember that we have to live with CPA. And this was after 2019 amendment, Kerala High Court, WP writ petition number 970 of 2022, MLAG Dr. Nagpal sir's organization versus Union of India 2021 case, and Supreme Court versus again MLAG and Union of India. In all these cases, the Supreme Court says no excuse, nothing doing, doctors are under CPA. So these are the latest judgments which indicate that for all practical purposes we are under CPA. And CPA is not a doctor-friendly act, it is a patient-friendly act. Okay. Can we reduce patients? Yes, how many of you say yes?
Yes.
Okay. Please remember, we can reduce patients except in case of emergency. This again is Supreme Court judgment of 1988. तो 23 साल 35 साल हो चुके हैं. Permanent Katara versus Union of India. Supreme Court again says saving human life is first priority or responsibility of each and every doctor, whether in government service or private, whether he was under your care treatment or not. Emergency patient you cannot refuse. This is a judgment which says that doctors are again, they will be monitored. Doctors may not be negligent individually, but the hospital may be negligent if there is a system failure in the hospital. And in this case, again the court complimented for fighting spirit of the patient. Please remember, the court are going to be more impatient, more in favor of patient. What is cross-specialty and cross-specialty? Again, a lot of discussion is going on last 4 to 5 years. Please remember, cross-specialty is practicing the pathy which is not, we have not learned, and cross-specialty is practicing specialty which we have learned. So who is a specialist? There is a clear-cut definition by the medical books, by the Medical Council or the National Commission now, and Supreme Court also. And as for the Supreme Court, if you are not following the practice in which you are registered, basically you are doing a quacking. So as per the Medical Council or National Medical Commission, they will not give you registration. There is you have a Ayurvedic degree and you apply to NMC that please register me as a doctor, I am also a doctor. They will not register. They will say go to the Council of Indian Medicine. So that is another important. Now this is a very important judgment. Again, this was a state commission judgment, but now we have various other judgments which say whether you can do cross-pathy or not. So again, this is some of the judgments. IMA versus State of Chhattisgarh. Degree holders of Ayurvedic and Unani medicine declared as RMP are entitled to practice modern medicine. If there is something wrong, those who are doing medico-legal consultation, I will ask them to just modify these lines. So they can do practice of modern medicine to the extent of training received in modern medicine. So we cannot say at everywhere that NMC is wrong, government is wrong. हिंदी में एक कहावत है ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती. So somewhere we have to understand who is wrong in this particular case. We cannot have a blanket statement that NMC is at fault or government is at fault or judiciary is at fault. Sometimes they are at fault, sometimes we are at fault also. Okay? So fact remains that eligibility to practice school of medicine governed exclusively by particular statute cannot be passed, cannot be allowed. Supreme Court in this special leave application number 2144-2145 of 2016, All India Indian Medical Graduate versus Delhi Medical Association. No coercive action shall be taken against person practicing integrated system of medicine pursuant to degree or diploma that have been obtained from medicine. So again, this is a Supreme Court judgment. How much they have understood the situation. In the morning we discussed laws are made by sitting in a court. They have nothing to do with what is the ground reality. But once the law is there, law it is a law. What is criminal liability? There is a lot of problems now about the arrest of doctors and about the attacks on the hospital if there is no arrest. So, what is the criminal liability of a medical practitioner? Again, we have 3 or 4 important judgments. Because of lack of time, I will not go into detail. This is one Dr. A.S. Gupta versus Government of Delhi, where they have clearly defined what is civil and what is criminal liability. Jacob Matthews versus State of Punjab, again civil negligence and criminal negligence. this important judgment, we always say that all of us should have a copy of this judgment. If you do not have, please take the copy of this judgment. If you do not get, you can ask any of our medical legal consultant. See what Supreme Court says. Why I say that everybody is not at fault, ताकि एक हाथ से नहीं बचती. Supreme Court का बोलना है कि no sensible professional. So no doctor will have mens rea. Mens rea means guilty mind. Guilty mind है किसी डॉक्टर के मन में ये नहीं है कि आज मेरे यहाँ एक पेशेंट मरा है तो अगले वीक 7 दिन बाद मेरा टारगेट 2 डेज का है, मुझे 2 लोगों को मारना है, 2 महीने बाद मुझे 4 लोगों को मारना है, and by the end of 6 months I want to become a 30 month count. So no sensible professional will have this in his mind, because the Supreme Court is giving reason also, because his professional reputation is at stake, and many cases are used as a tool for pressurizing the doctors. This judgment is totally in favor of doctors. The Supreme Court went ahead warning the police officer not to harass or arrest the doctor. Kitna implement ho raha hai, that is a different thing. But this is a judgment which is totally in favor of doctor. Please keep a copy of this judgment. Supreme Court says otherwise policemen will have to face legal action. What is consent? I think we have discussed this many times, so I will not go into detail. But please find this is a National Commission judgment where the National Commission says there is an express written consent is needed. Samira Kohli judgment again we can discuss later on, but Supreme Court judgment which says doctor should communicate all inherent and potential hazards to patient right in regard of his or her body. So, for all practical purposes, all the court they will rely on the informed consent. Okay. See, very important judgment again by National Commission. Surgery without consent was not proved. Consent given by the wife was proved in the court of law. Amputation was done in emergency to save the life. So treatment was proper. And see with the last 2 lines, consent also included that I am willing for postmortem in unfortunate event of. हमारे कलीग को जब हम बोलते हैं कि डेथ की कंसेंट लो कि पेशेंट मर सकता है, वो बोलते पेशेंट कंसेंट साइन करेंगे कि वो भाग जाएगा. 4 पेशेंट भागते हैं, भागने दो, but we inform them the language, the wordings may be different, but you can say that untoward events may occur on the table, may occur under anesthesia. Okay. Very interesting judgment again. Here, the National Commission says there is no negligence. So after all discussion, the National Commission agreed that there is no negligence. But see what is the last 2 lines again. The National Commission has said that 10 lakhs should be deposited by the hospital in consumer legal aid account of National Commission. For what? Because they have a pre-written consent form. So, how the consent form should be there, we have to learn somewhere. I think we have discussed again. If you want any details about any of these things, we can have communication. Dr. Siroi sir and Anurag sir is always there. And I am always there. 24 hours, मेरा phone कभी बंद नहीं रहता unless and until there is no range. Okay? Fortunately, Supreme Court has stayed this message. Now, according to this National Commission judgment, we will just go to last slide. Discharge summary shall not be mechanical. It should be patient friendly. Please again remember, courts are in favor of patient. You have to tell them what you have done with his body or her body and what we are going to do in future. So discharge summary, उसमें आप जो भी future guidelines दोगे, that should be patient friendly. This is some of the example. What is a discharge card of a unit? Obstetrician and pediatrician will understand in a better way. But all this 8 points should be followed while giving a discharge card. Expert opinion. Okay. Before that, for how many times the record should be maintained? At present, as per the NMC guidelines, it is 3 years. So please keep that in mind, minimum 3 years, because you do not have any other preference. But what the court says in this case, not maintaining proper record, it's high time for doctors to write correct notes and document to be made available to the patient as a matter of right. Patient right to take the copy of a document, what treatment he has received, how many days he was admitted, what was the diagnosis, so everything patient can ask. Few lines about res ipsa aptitude. I hope most of you know what is res ipsa aptitude. Yes? Things speak for themselves. That is the meaning of this maxim, which means that negligence is so obvious that there is no need for any proof to be proved. That means if you have operated on a wrong patient, it's obvious negligence. You are not trying to identify this patient का operation करना है, किसी और को उठा के उसको ला दिया और उसका operation भी कर रहा है. Blood transfusion देना था to patient number A, you are given to patient number D. So you are not trying to identify that A is required or A is not there on the line. In res ipsa aptitude, the hospital or doctor have to prove. So one of the again, what we can say criminal law, a murderer is innocent till proved guilty. But for a doctor is guilty till proved innocent. You have to prove your innocence, especially in cases of res ipsa aptitude. What is negligence? Few words about negligence. As far as again a Supreme Court judgment, till now we are saying that expert evidence is required to prove. But in this case, Kishanrao versus Nikhil Super Hospital, the Supreme Court says no mechanical approach to be followed. There is obvious negligence. Again, we can say what is obvious negligence. तो किसी का amputation कर दिया, किसी को sealed inside, it was not diagnosed antenatally or whatever is possible. So in that case, expert evidence is not required. But in complicated cases, expert evidence is required. Sir, would I continue? Okay, this is very important case. We will discuss in short. After that, we will decide whether we have time or not. This is the well-known case 11 crore. सबके ध्यान में है अभी तक? Okay. From every hospital, Kolkata. Second, related to the treatment. And please remember a Supreme Court judgment again, where Supreme Court says that there can be cleavage of opinion among the doctors. So somebody can say surgery करना है, somebody can say surgery नहीं करना है, somebody can say steroid लेना है, somebody can say okay there is no obvious role of steroid in this particular case. So there can be some pro-steroid doctors or hospitals, some can be anti-steroid group doctors. With case of 10 epidermal necrolysis. Toxic epidermal necrolysis. You are given decometrol, that is long-acting steroid, which resulted in immunosuppression and septicemia, multi-organ failure, and ultimate death. The relatives wanted that all these doctors who have killed my relative should be put behind the bar. Criminal liability, इन्होंने मर्डर किया है मेरे पेशेंट का, इनको पुटिंग बिहाइंड द बार छोड़ के और कोई शिक्षा और कोई पनिशमेंट हमको मंजूर नहीं है. Supreme Court says nothing doing. We cannot put all the doctors behind the bar. So criminal liability was outrightly rejected by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says if you go on putting doctors behind the bar, the younger generation may avoid medical courses. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट को चीजें नहीं मालूम है, ऐसा नहीं है। गवर्नमेंट को चीजें नहीं मालूम है, ऐसा भी नहीं है। एनएमसी को नहीं समझता, ऐसा भी नहीं है। Question is on that particular case or on that particular issue, what is their interest? So in that case, they may change the various guidelines or regulations. Very important case, we will not go into detail. Again, a Supreme Court judgment where ROP was done, ROP was not done, and the baby became blind. Please remember, all the pediatricians and obstetricians, the maximum cases now against pediatricians are either for ROP, retinopathy of prematurity, or for developmental disabilities. So preterm, small birth date, low birth weight, not fully grown, after birth, there is asphyxia, and all these will result into the delayed development or abnormal development. And that particular patient, please remember, is 100% going to file a case. Okay. Limitation period, कितने साल तक केस डाल सकते हैं? Yes. What about audience? You want me to continue? Yes. Okay. Limitation period, कितने साल तक पेशेंट केस डाल सकता है? जितने साल तक पेशेंट केस डाल सकता है उतने टाइम तक हमको मिनिमम डॉक्यूमेंटेशन मेंटेन करना है। उसके बाद करना कि नहीं करना, दैट इज अ डिफरेंट। So limitation period, in this case a National Commission judgment of 2008, again National Commission says entire spirit of CPA is ignored by State Commission. So for every judiciary, CPA is patient friendly, patient से favor का जो कर सकते हो, you should be always welcome. But if you go in favor of a doctor, then we do not know how much they are going to expect. So here the Parliament has specifically excluded operation of CPC except for limited purposes. Proceeding before the forum or now the commission are not adversarial. Appellant being illiterate widow, the delay could be granted. So who can control the delay? 2 साल में पेशेंट नहीं गया, 4 साल बाद यदि वो नेशनल कमीशन में जा रहा, स्टेट कमीशन में जा रहा है, if the chairman there or judge there feels that for some genuine reason this patient could not come within 2 years, so he can admit after 4 years also. But it is not a must. He has to decide on again particular case to case basis. So in this case, the judgment is deficiency noticed on 6/8/2000, complaint filed on 2/12/2004, so almost 4 years, and nothing doing. This is time part we are not at. So we will have to convince that patient has all the option of going to the court till 2 years, but she could not or he could not go or he has not gone, so he was sleeping over his right or her right, so now we are not going to permit. So if the patient is giving reason why he has come late, we also have to give the reason why he has not come early. And hearing the both the sides, the court will decide whether it is a time bar or not. What is vicarious liability? Again, few cases, few lines. The most important judgment is again by the Supreme Court in 1998 that minor child as well as parents are consumer. So बच्चा मर गया, बच्चा handicap हो गया, you cannot say कि भाई बच्चे तो complain नहीं कर रहा है, why the parents are why they have come to the complaint. In that particular case, according to Supreme Court, child as well as parents are the consumer, and this is a judgment against Mumbai and Bombay Hospital in Mumbai. The no efforts are being taken to bring the coordination between various consultants. तो सर्जरी की केस है, प्री ऑपरेटिव इवैल्यूएशन प्रॉपरली नहीं हो रहा है, फिजिशियन आ नहीं रहा है, आ रहा है तो बराबर बता नहीं रहा है, बता रहा है तो इन्वेस्टिगेट, कुछ साइड इफेक्ट हुआ, कुछ ट्रेजिक आउटकम है, तो सर्जन से इट्स नॉट माय रिस्पांसिबिलिटी, मुझे तो फिजिशियन ने बोला नहीं कि इसको कुछ कॉम्प्लिकेशन है, डायबिटीज है, इलेक्ट्रोलाइट इम्बैलेंस है, आई हैव डन सर्जरी, फिजिशियन की रिस्पांसिबिलिटी, उसके कारण पेशेंट हमारा ठीक हुआ। Physician will say no, anesthetist was there, he should have refused that there is no proper pre-operative evaluation, so anesthetist. So एक दूसरे पे जो finger pointing होती है, according to national commission that should be avoided, and if you cannot pinpoint a problem with one specialist, that whether surgeon was called or physician or anesthetist, we will hold the hospital as a vicarious liability because they have employed all the three, so hospital is vicariously liable. Again, MRI films were not raised, were not seen by the consultant radiologist, he just signed. When there was problem, he said, no, I have not seen this patient. It was seen by patient in the field, I have not seen. My junior has seen, he said it's that's the finding. He has signed and I have found. So please remember, just counter signing what your junior has done. You cannot say later on due to junior negligent. The final responsibility will be of the senior or of the hospital. I think I am exceeding, so we will just this case 2007 National Commission, but fortunately or unfortunately we have again just 1 or 2 years back I could not bring that judgment. Now we have a Supreme Court judgment. It's against the West Bengal High Court, where the West Bengal High Court has cancelled the registration of a doctor because he has not followed the court's advice. Okay? So what says in this National Commission judgment, and same judgment is now we have Supreme Court, relief in form of restricting or debarring the practice or cancellation of registration cannot be granted by the court. It is a privilege or it is the under the authority of the National Medical Commission. So National Medical Commission only can cancel your registration, no board can cancel your registration. Violence in healthcare setup we all know, very important. Again I think in this 42nd High Court of Kerala judgment, that prevention of violence and damage to property act is there in almost each and every state of India now, and those who are inclusion or violent, anticipatory bail, including the local leaders and social workers was rejected. So at present, Kerala High Court is very much against the violence against the hospital and all. So we can quote this case. Charges by the hospital, how much charge we can take. A very important judgment during the corona pandemic. Here the Nagpur High Court says that for corona pandemic, it is a pandemic, it's a national emergency. So government can fix the charges for the treatment of corona or related issue. But for any other treatment or for any other hospital facilities or treatment, government cannot fix the fees. So if you really want to do this, you can go to the various government scheme also, and that can be challenged by आपने cesarean section के लिए 10,000, 40,000, 1 लाख ही क्यों fix किया? Why not according to our hospital's rate? But we all know that this is not going to happen that easily. But please remember, according to this Nagpur High Court judgment, a government cannot fix the charges for a private hospital. Defending a case for professional assistance, we will not go into detail. Last few carry-on passages. BA CME doctor, continuing medical education doctor. So what we are doing today is a CME or a workshop. Do not be a CMRE doctor, that is company medical representative educated doctor. Okay? So don't do that. This company has sponsored our today's CME. So वो बोलते हैं कि भाई amoxicillin you write once a day, no problem, or twice a day. Please remember, as a qualified doctor, amoxicillin has to be minimum prescribed 3 times a day or 4 times. If the drug of choice is amoxicillin for any disease, ये मत बोलो कि भाई वो 3 बार देना पड़ता, तो I will give azithromycin, that has to be given once a day. So no medical representative or company can teach you that azithromycin is best drug for that particular infection because it has to be given once. Whatever is written in the book, please follow that. We have already discussed avoid cross-specialty and cross-specialty, and this is probably the last slide where we will discuss some of the problems what we are saying with government and judiciary. The judgment many times change from lower to higher court. Now, if you have a law, if you have a qualified judges, why the judgment go on change? District level पे एक judgment आता है, state level पे दूसरा आता है, national commission पे फिर उल्टा. Okay? Up to which level one should go? Now there is a case against me. Now, district forum में बोलते हैं कि I am negligent. Should I go to the state commission, national commission, or even Supreme Court, or should I? If I think a district commission ने बोल दिया I am at fault, let us pay whatever compensation there. So whether we should stop at district, state, national, or we should go up to the Supreme Court, it is to be decided by us, not by any person. But is it possible and that is the issue? What is the interpretation by a common man? And most of the laws, I always say, they are followed in word. They are never followed in spirit. Neither by the person, a general person, a community person, neither by the advocates, the judges, government or policy. So interpretation by authorities should be patient friendly. So also the not only authorities, media and interpretation and trial should also be. Last request again, all of you who are not member of Indian Medical Legal and Medical Association, please become our members. I have said in the morning only that you will increase our strength, you will increase the strength of those who are fighting against the improper guidelines, rules or regulations or laws. This is our journal we will be reading. This is our textbook which we can quote as a reference in the court. And finally, this is what we have to do. We have already discussed. The last slide carry on message. CKA, please remember, is a consumer-friendly legislation. As a medical legal consultant, we request the policy makers and government to make it doctor friendly and community friendly also. So many of us believe that in long time doctors को बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. Doctors are under CPA. Long term में patient को ही ठीक होने वाली है because all of us know the various reasons. So future of any patient cannot be predicted. There should be no disproportionate punishment that is in crores which is going on. Okay. So capping on compensation, you will not believe we have a case of ROP in state of Madhya Pradesh where they have asked for 12 crores. Okay, as a compensation. So there should be a strong deterrent. अभी मैं आया तो ये discussion हो रहा था कि frivolous case में there should be strong deterrent. So please do not feel misguided. We also want, as a doctor, there should be a strong deterrent for false and frivolous cases. The patient can be supported by other means like insurance, government, corporate hospital. We are discussing latest. Now, how many of you know that if you buy a car or a two-wheeler, you cannot drive it movement on the road till you have insurance for it. All of you agree with this that there is a rule, कार का जब तक आपने इंश्योरेंस नहीं भरा है, गवर्नमेंट के हिसाब से आप उसको सड़क पे नहीं चला। So why government cannot make rules like this? That if you are establishing a hospital, you should have minimum insurance for the hospital or for personal doctor. कि भाई इतने का आप इंश्योरेंस करोगे, कोई भी पेशेंट को डेथ होगी तो आपको मिनिमम इतना देना है, उसके आगे का कुछ नहीं रहेगा। अनलेस एंड अनटिल देयर इज आगे जेन्युइन रीजन कि भाई इसको 2 करोड़ देना है, इसको 1 करोड़ देना है, इसको क्या है। So there should be some capping, and no hospital should be allowed by the government without having a professional involvement. So the patient support scheme can be developed by the government where doctor is not allowed to pay the compensation, but the insurance company or the government scheme should pay the compensation for that particular. I think if there is a death after immunization, government has something to pay. So like this, any day government can have the insurance. Those who are present here, again I will thank all of them. And my suggestion is, from today onwards, you should have out-of-box thinking. So please think out of box. Nobody is wrong every time. Nobody is correct every time. Whether we, whether it is policymakers, whether it is judiciary. Our aim should be bring all the parties on one platform, discuss the issue, and then make the guidelines of the. But it is not made. It is made. Then it is said on internet कि भाई आपकी क्या views है? How many of us are regularly seeing internet daily? If there is 30 days time also, how many of we are seeing that message in 30 days and giving reply? So all these things, rather than we should have some representatives from different things and a well-balanced guideline of rules should be made. That is my way of thinking. I think those of you agree. Otherwise, as I said, at least think out of the box. So जो चल रहा है वैसे चलने को या उसको कैसे भी करके बदलना है, not. Okay? So thank you again.
I will make examples. Thank you so much, sir. For the next session, I am inviting Dr. Imleacon. He will be speaking on practice domains of medical graduates, postgraduates, and super specialists. Welcome.
I am a fan of yours. I have been seeing your post regarding the CA from the local point of view, and I appreciate the work done by you in field of CA especially. And I am honored to invite you as a speaker today. Thank you. Please start.
बाकी लोग जो चल रहे हैं या जो सड़क ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहा है जैसे नेशनल हाईवे अथॉरिटी, वो नहीं लेते। जब मरीज मेरे पास आता है वो एक रिस्क ले रहा है, अगर वो इंश्योरेंस उसको लेनी चाहिए एक मेडिकल एक्सीडेंट के अगेंस्ट। हम गाड़ी की इंश्योरेंस करते हैं एक्सीडेंट के लिए। सो एक पॉलिसी होनी चाहिए कि जो भी पेशेंट हॉस्पिटलाइज होगा हर एक अपने लिए एक मेडिकल एक्सीडेंट पॉलिसी ले। अब उसमें वो अपनी जिंदगी की वैल्यू 2 लाख लगाए या वो 200 करोड़ लगाए, हमारी गलत से। हमारे को मतलब अकाउंटेबिलिटी में मना नहीं करता, अकाउंटेबिलिटी इज समथिंग डिफरेंट। इवन पेनल्टी कैन बी अवॉर्डेड, मॉनेटरी पेनल्टी कैन बी अवॉर्डेड, बट ये जो तमाशा हो रहा है ना, कुणाल साहब ने 1997 में कितना मांगा, कैन यू इमेजिन? He started with 150, went up to 200 crores. In 1997, when the matter went to Supreme Court, he raised it to 200 crores. We have other cases where 150 crores has been asked for. So, anyway, मेरे को फिर बाद में बोला जाएगा कि ज़्यादा बोलता है। यार ये कैसे हो गया? ओके। the topic I was given today was the practice domains of doctors. Though I think the intention of the organizers and deliberate run by Dr. Imleacon was to catch me into the practice domains of MBBS doctors only. But I am expanding that. I am expanding that slightly to go into ultimately who can practice what. यही इशू है। आपका 2002 regulations जो इंडियन मेडिकल काउंसिल एक्ट की 2002 regulations की प्रोफेशनल कंडक्ट इसमें एक बात कही गई थी, a person obtaining qualification in any other system of medicine is not allowed to practice medicine. जो practice कर रहा है medicine as defined in Indian Medical Council Act, only a person who is registered in Indian Medical Council Act in the various schedules is the one who can practice modern scientific medicine. NMC Act, what did NMC Act say? That section 34 says, he is the person and RMP is the person who should be allowed to practice medicine as a qualified medical practitioner. एक तो मुझे ये नहीं समझ आता, हम चीज इतनी कॉम्प्लिकेट क्यों करते हैं? हम सीधा क्यों नहीं कह सकते कि MBBS डॉक्टर कैन प्रैक्टिस मॉडर्न साइंटिफिक मेडिसिन? हम उसको RMP as defined under section this of this act. Why do we complicate the matter? Is it not straightforward and simple? Is the statement wrong that MBBS doctor is the one who can practice modern scientific medicine? It should have been there. It is not there. Why? This is what creates a confusion now. He can also hold office as physician. He can entitled to medical certificates and fitness certificates, entitled to give evidence in court. These are the rights of an MBBS doctor as given to us under the NMC Act. Any person who contravenes this, उसकी पेनल्टी लिखी है कि 5 लाख रुपए फाइन हो सकता है, जेल टर्म हो सकती है 1 year के लिए. Now let us see what are the rights of Ayush doctors under the CCIM Act, the Indian Medicine Central Council. ये सब कुछ तो वहां भी है कि shall hold the office as physician or any other office, यही चीज हमारे एक्ट में थी. Shall be entitled to sign and authenticate certificates, shall be entitled to give evidence or inquest. तो ऐसे rights हमें क्या special? Next, if you come to section 17 of this Central Council Act, जो Indian Medicine का है, it says they have a right of a practitioner of Indian medicine. The privileges include the right to practice modern medicine, practice any system of medicine. मैं कह रहा हूँ, मैंने कमाई की, मैंने अपने घर में सामान रखा, वो मेरा सामान है, वो मेरी जायदाद है. ये लॉ था, जो सोशल लॉ बना. अब चोरों ने एक अपनी कम्युनिटी बना ली और अपना एक लॉ पास कर दिया कि आपका दरवाजा खुला था तो वो एंटाइटलमेंट हमारी होगी. This is what is happening. What right does Indian Medicine Central Council Act have to decide who can practice modern scientific medicine? The reason lies because इन्होंने ambiguity इतनी छोड़ी हुई है in the definition of modern medicine, modern scientific medicine, what is the definition of medicine. Because of that, all these problems happen. And look at the section D. The rights conferred by Indian Medical Council Act 1956, which now is NMC Act 2019, including rights to practice medicine as defined in section 2 of the Act. Meaning to say, जो Indian Medical Council Act का section 2 था, वो बात कर रहा था कि we can practice modern scientific medicine. And the Indian Medicine Central Council Act says कि जो लोग आयुष में recognized हैं, उसमें registered हैं, they can practice. They have the same rights as the rights of a graduate who is registered under Indian Medical Council Act. So these are two laws. Both of them are central laws. एक तरफ से आप कहते हो कि इसके बिना अगर कोई प्रैक्टिस कर रहा है तो वो पेनल्टी होगी उसको, दूसरा कहता है कि हम इसको प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हैं. Very strange. Then look at this judgment, Poonam Verma versus Ashwin Patel. This was a homeopathic doctor. He treated viral fever with some antibiotics and paracetamol, etc. The patient later became unconscious. Shifted to a nursing home, went to Hinduja hospital, died. Expert opinion was given by Dr. R.K. Sharma from AIMS. He said that probably he had undiagnosed diabetes with septicemia and intracranial complications which led to the death. Supreme Court said, having practiced allopathy without being qualified in that system is negligence per se. They also said that a person who does not have knowledge of a particular system of medicine but practices in that system is a quack and a mere pretender to medical knowledge or skill, or to put it differently, he is a charlatan. The court was very, very harsh in underlining these statements. Another case from National Consumer Distributor Test Commission, homeopathic doctor gave glucose drip multiple injections. Patient's condition deteriorated, he ran away, compensation was granted by NCDRC. Here, the homeopathic doctor used the Tura leaf along with chromium drops. And the board said this was an Ayush medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, the Tura leaf, and he should have known that the complication of that if he wanted to treat. So, this was a 1964 case. And again, the doctor was penalized. But the criminal charges against him were dropped. Diploma community service. West Bengal government had started a diploma kind of in community medicine. And these people did not need to be MBBS. So they were supposed to treat certain diseases when they were posted in primary health centers or the health centers of the government. They went to Supreme Court saying we should have prescription rights and we should have rights to practice modern scientific medicine. And the Supreme Court in this case, they said that title, certificate or qualification, diploma granted by governing body of the state medical facility. The state medical faculty, if decides any degree, diploma, license can be awarded to a person, and the name of that person can be entered in the register for registered medical practitioners, then yes, they can practice, prescribe and issue certificates. This is West Bengal. Come to Uttrakhand, state of Punjab. When you talk to Ayush doctors, this is the judgment which is mostly quoted, that it permits them under Drugs and Cosmetics Act to keep medicines of modern scientific medicine. What did that say? Indian Council, the Indian Medical Central Council Act had added this thing and given some clarifications of regarding modern medicine advances. They used an ambiguous term again to create confusion. But Muktiar Chand judgment said that the clarification issued by Central Council enabled the practitioners of Indian medicine to make use of modern advances in medical sciences such as X-ray, CT scan, complete blood picture reports, lipids, etc. for the purpose of practicing their own system. Muktiar Chand judgment did not permit them to practice modern scientific medicine. The interpretation of this judgment has been very hotly debated. However, they also said that if any state act recognized the qualification of integrated course as sufficient qualification for registration in state medical register, then they can practice modern scientific medicine. So if a doctor has done BAMS and in state of Uttrakhand decides that a BAMS qualification is sufficient to be registered in the state medical register where they register MBBS doctors, then under those circumstances, that doctor can practice modern scientific medicine within the state of Uttrakhand. This was the gist of the Mukhtarchand judgment. And they also said, the state government concerned, according to rules, will determine what is the required qualification. Because health is a state subject. So they mentioned this thing very clearly. And if any state law relating to registration of medical practitioners permits practicing of allopathic medicine on the basis of degree in integrated medicine, the bar in the Indian Medical Council Act for people not registered under it to practice modern scientific medicine will not hold. And this is exactly what the gist of the whole thing was. They also said it matters very little that the practitioners registered in this the Indian Medical Central Council Act are being involved by the governments in various national programs or given postings in hospitals of allopathic medicine. They said very clearly it does not matter. It does not give them a right. And the clarifications which have been issued by Central Council, this we have already covered. Another judgment 1992, person is also from Supreme Court. They also mentioned very clearly a person who can practice allopathic system of medicine in a state or in the country only if he possesses a recognized medical qualification as mentioned in IUCI. In the case of P.N. Thakur D.S. Hans, MCDRC, doctors specialized in Unani system do not possess the required skill to give allopathic treatment and to let emergency patient be treated by them is gross negligence. Hospitals frequently employ Ayush doctors to work as residents. This was frowned upon by NCDRC. I know some of you may have heard of the Neeraj clinic which used to run in Rishikesh. And in the name of allopathic medicines, a lot of anticonvulsants were being given. So Supreme Court had frowned on this practice again. The matter, however, was represented to the government by the NEMA number of times. And in view of notification and letters issued by CCIM, now the central government is saying it is clarified that institutionalized qualified practitioners of Indian systems of medicine are eligible to practice Indian systems of Indian medicine and modern medicine including surgery, gynae and obstetrics. Look at the confusion which is being created. This is from, again, Ministry of Health. The state governments may consider all practitioners of Indian system of medicine, may, not shall, whose course provides for training in subjects of modern medicine with sympathy and may extend the facility of practicing modern medicine to them. अरे भाई MBBS को हम neurology पढ़ाते हैं. Does this make them a neurologist? Let us extend the argument. क्योंकि आपने एनाटॉमी पढ़ा दी, फार्माकोलॉजी पढ़ा दी, पैथोलॉजी पढ़ा दी, मेडिसिन पढ़ा दी, सर्जरी पढ़ा दी. If that makes them qualified, then by that argument, an MBBS doctor is being taught cardiology also. Then why are we having so much super specialist culture that you need a pediatric cardiologist to treat a child with a cardiology problem? Another notification is from Maharashtra government 1992. Maharashtra still allows Ayush doctors to have nursing homes to practice allopathy, and a lot of modern scientific medicine work in Maharashtra in Ayush doctors' hospitals to provide their services there. We are a confused nation. 21 साल 18 साल की उम्र पे एक लड़का किसी बच्चे को गोद ले सकता है. Do you know this is the law? He cannot get married till he is 21. He can adopt a child at 18. He cannot get married till he is 21, and he cannot have his first drink till he is 25. Law. And this is exactly what is happening in our country in this regard also. There are umpteen judgments on this issue. And conflicting judgments on this issue. This was a case where an orthopedic doctor wrote an Ayurvedic prescription. This was again hauled up by the courts. Look at this judgment of 2020. This is New India Assurance Company. This company refused to pay compensation against an Ayurvedic doctor who had used modern scientific medicine to treat a patient. And the court said that he is authorized to practice Indian systems of medicine as well as modern medicines as per notification of Central Council of Indian Medicine. Central Council of Indian Medicine did not have the powers to issue notification to anyone regarding modern scientific medicine. But that was not challenged by us. And that notification stands. Which is why these confusions are happening. So the entire thing was on this issue, and the court sided with the doctor saying, yes, the insurance company has to pay. The insurance company had said, this was deliberate disregard of law, so we will not pay compensation. The court said, no, you have to pay because he is authorized to use modern scientific medicine. Another judgment, this is also from National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, that Ayush doctors can practice modern scientific medicine. Of course, this was introduced, I think, not passed, to permit electro-homeopathy and similar systems to be recognized, medical systems to practice in India. I don't think this was passed, but we already have many qualified allopathic doctors in India. One of them was a High Court judge who used to practice urology, who used to give medicines to take out kidney stones. He was a very famous urologist, if I may say so. But of course, he probably was not aware of the law that people who are not qualified could not practice allopathy or medicine per se. But since he was a High Court judge, I mean, he was the topmost urologist of India. And what have we done? We have emasculated the MBBS. This is the exact term we have done. We fight among ourselves. ये मेरी ड्यूटी है, ये मेरा काम है, ये वो क्यों कर रहा है, इसको तो ये आता नहीं है. Despite that, AIIMS we consider the premier institution. क्या किया है हमने अपने प्रोफेशन के लिए? AIIMS ग्रेजुएट को क्या कोई कैंपस प्लेसमेंट देता है? कोई कंपनी आती है कि हाँ भाई you are the best graduate in the country, so you come and join us and we give you a 2 crore package. It doesn't happen. You do your MBBS, you are out on the roads. Apply again, you will see. Super specialist culture आ गया. Pediatric endocrinologist से नीचे हमें कोई चाहिए ही नहीं. And judicial emasculation of MBBS. You cannot do surgery or delivery, you cannot treat cardiology, nephrology, you cannot claim yourself to be a specialist. So normally धक्का दिया जाता है, तुम्हारा कलीग पूछ गया. And look at the Indian Evidence Act. What does it say? Indian Evidence Act says that an expert is a person who is skilled and has adequate knowledge of the subject. It does not say the person is qualified in the subject. So I am not a pediatrician, but I have worked with Dr. Satish for let us say 20 years in his nursing home. Now I am skilled and I have adequate knowledge of the subject. कल को मैं इनको नर्सिंग होम छोड़ के मैं बाहर चला गया, इन पे एक केस हुआ. I can go to court as an expert in pediatrics and give evidence for or against him, but I cannot practice as a pediatrician. Then I am told to read too much into these things. I think we all need to read too much into these ambiguities. And it cannot be left on 1-2 people, or we can't expect similar profile cases for us, or we can't expect the pharma industry to fight for our cause with the government. Now this lady, she was a practicing gynecologist for more than 20 years in a missionary hospital. She had done her MD from Germany. After that, this MD was equivalent to MBBS in India in those days. After that, she had done 4 years of training in obs and gynae, but that was not recognized by the National Medical Commission. So they said that you were negligent in claiming to be a gynecologist. You had training, but that training was not recognized by National Medical Commission. And this is a judgment, I think, from 1992. So it is not something which is recent. I am asked, can MBBS doctor perform cesarean? Yes, we have one judgment. Though based on this judgment, I will not recommend an MBBS doctor to perform cesarean, who is a specialist. This, our 2002 regulations had very clearly mentioned that you cannot claim to be a specialist unless you have special qualification in that branch. The term was special qualification. Now look at the 2023 regulation. It has added the word NMC recognized qualification. Earlier, if I had a qualification even from an institute or a university and it was not NMC recognized, I could claim to be a specialist if we go by the letter of the law. Now, unless and until my qualification is recognized by the NMC, I cannot claim to be a specialist. The same thing was reiterated in the Malay Kumar Kamli versus Dr. Sukumar Mukherjee, famous Kunal Saha judgment, where they also said that if a representation is made by a doctor that he is a specialist, and it ultimately turns out that he is not, deficiency in medical services would be presumed. उसने कुछ गलत किया या नहीं किया, not of concern. Simply उसने अपने आप को specialist कहा हुआ है. This is sufficient to declare him to be negligent and penalized. Under RTI, we went to MCI in those days, and they said, yes, a physician shall not claim to be a specialist unless he has a special qualification in that branch, but they clarified. However, this provision does not debar a doctor having proper and adequate training and exposure, competency and experience to work in any particular discipline or branch where he has got special interest. This was the RTI reply. Anybody gets caught in this rigmarole can always ask me for this, I will share it. And this is the general body meeting minutes where this was discussed and decided by the Medical Council of India. People have been known to be claiming to be obstetrician and gynecologist without having a degree. They have been penalized. In the case of Ramesh Chandra Agarwal, again, who is a specialist, this has been discussed. Let us look at the reverse. A person is MS surgery. He gets MCH urology, he does MCH urology. After urology, he starts the practice of urology. उसके पास बेचारे के पास प्रोस्टेट के केसेस नहीं आ रहे हैं. तो उसके पास पॉलीसिस्टेक्टमी आ गई, उसने पॉलीसिस्टेक्टमी कर दी. Unfortunately, complication हो गई. What does the court say? The court says if any super specialist in the field of surgery possesses basic qualification as MS, it does not mean he can do any surgery other than his own super specialty. आपको हंसी आ रही है, मुझे रोना आता है. But can MS surgery perform TURP? Yes. उसके लिए judgment है. Physician cardiologist. I am sure if I go around in Kashipur, I will see at least 20 boards of MD medicine doctors who are written physician cardiologists over there. Am I wrong? Every city has this. But if you get caught, suddenly it becomes a crime. यार ये crime है तो है. फिर सबके लिए crime है. जो फंसा अकेले उसके लिए थोड़ा ना. Another case similar anti-medicine claiming to be a cardiologist. एक साइड से हम कह रहे हैं कि अगर आपको पढ़ाया गया है सब्जेक्ट्स तो आप वो काम कर सकते हैं। दूसरी साइड से आप कह रहे हैं कि नहीं आपने एंटी मेडिसिन की होगी, आपने कार्डियोलॉजी का लॉन्ग टेस्ट लिया होगा अपने एग्जाम में, मगर यू कैन नॉट क्लेम टू बी अ कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट। सेम थिंग nephrologist. Now this gentleman was recognized by the state of Madhya Pradesh as nephrologist for their government program. He had done, I think, more than 5,000 dialysis, 200 kidney replacements in 20 years he was in practice. AIMS set up a committee and they came up with this thing that memberships and fellowships of a society do not confer on you the right to call yourself a specialist. If you are not qualified, you are not a specialist. This is exactly what we have done. One patient, and we have multiple. Sometimes I really want patients to send me their abdomen cut and refer parcel to me so that I can correct it. After that, they can parcel it back to them and they can fit it. It's become weird. And there is a cross-speciality turf war. All of us, plastic surgeons are fighting with the ENT surgeons, ENT surgeons are fighting with maxillofacial surgeons, surgeons with gynecologists, radiotherapists with medical oncologists, neurologists with interventional radiologists, orthopedicians and neurosurgeons. And multiple cases again of this. Started from Prashant Dhanaka's case, the Nizam Institute of Hyderabad, where a cardiothoracic surgeon was doing a cardiac thoracic surgery, had to extend to the spine and was penalized more than 1 CR for the first time on this. Surgeon operating an ovarian cyst, penalized. Can surgeon give anesthesia? Under RTI, I have gone to civil hospitals of Punjab and asked them if from this year to this year, how many anesthetists did you have? How many surgeries did you conduct? How many DM cardiologists did you have? How many cases of heart attack did you treat? आपके पास एनेस्थेसिस्ट नहीं है, सर्जन एनेस्थीसिया देता है, ऑपरेट करता है, वो सब बढ़िया। प्राइवेट में होता है तो it is negligence. Under RTI, I have taken this information and the same thing has been reiterated a number of times. So, सब बहुत हंस रहे हैं, मैं खत्म करता हूँ with my last slide. We need to decide, do we need doctors who know less and less? Do we need more doctors who know less and less? Or do we need doctors who know more and more?
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure listening to you. For the next presentation, I now invite Dr. A.S. Chalki. He will be speaking on the protocol for broad-dead patients.
Critical care, DHM from National Institute of Health and Family Welfare, CCML Medical Law, Past Executive Editor General of India, Executive Member Indian Medical Legal and Ethics Association, Section Editor, Textbook of.
After a lot of exhaustive sessions by Nisa and Arpal and Dr. Satish Tiwari, let's go to a little lighter topic, protocol for broad-dead cases. So, talking about the medical definition of death, the easy one is end or cessation of life. A little complicated, in absence of spontaneous respiratory and cardiac functions. But in 1980, the American Medical Association came with a definition saying severe irreversible damage of vitally important organs of the body leading to cessation of main vital functions including metabolism. But the Registration of Birth and Death Act in India in 1969 said it's very easy, death is, that means permanent disappearance of all evidence of life. So these are the few definitions. Coming to the topic, brought in dead or dead on arrival. These are the synonyms. In most of the cases, the patient is being brought for treatment or revival. When you examine, you see that the patient is dead. Some come to whether the patient is alive or dead, to ascertain whether the patient is dead, or some come only to obtain a death certificate. So, broad death cases can be classified like every other thing can be classified into natural causes, unnatural causes like burn accidents, violence, sexual assault, etc. Then sudden death where cause is not known. Then unattended death where the patient is found dead, nobody was attending that patient at that time. And death during transportation where there is the importance of the cerebral slip. Enumerating some other causes for natural death are drowning, bites by scorpion and snakes, poisoning, head injuries, toxic gas inhalation, falling in sewer, carbon monoxide poisoning in case of fire, injecting muscle relaxants in suicide cases, overdose by drug addicts, etc. In children, the causes are respiratory diseases, meningitis, heart diseases, intracranial aneurysms, hepatitis, laryngeal edema, pneumonitis, aspiration, etc. And in infants, we have premature death, low birth weight, birth asphyxia, birth trauma, sudden infant death syndrome, neonatal infections, tetanus, which is rare now. I have one. So what do we do when we receive a broad death patient? Normally, we should always do a cardiopulmonary resuscitation unless there are specific conditions which you can pronounce the patient dead. What to do, whether to admit the patient or declare dead. So when the history is there that the patient was alive just a few minutes ago and suddenly something happened and they have brought him to the hospital, we start CPR, and this CPR should be continued for 20 minutes, and if you find some response to this CPR, you continue it further for 45 minutes in an adult or almost an hour in children. Whenever a broad dead patient is brought to you, depending upon the circumstances, you must have in your mind what is apparent death or a state of suspended animation. By this I mean supposing a mountaineer catches himself in an avalanche and is brought to you, he may be apparently dead. But after warming up the body and doing CPR, he may come out alive with all body and neurological and all functions okay. Till long time back, there was no reasoning for such cases. Now these are few case reports which have emerged. This is Janina Politics, a Polish woman in 214. She was declared dead. But the mortuary staff, after some time, noticed that the body is moving, and the patient came home saying that I am feeling good. So this is a case reported. Similarly, Walter Williams, a 78-year-old man, same thing. He was found kicking in the body bag after being declared dead. This is August 2023, infant declared dead by doctors found alive in UP. Just appeared a few days back. Similarly, in January 23, this boy he suffered a cardiac arrest in the gym and he was revived very easily. He was declared dead and he became alright and is normal now. 8th August 2023, BJP leader declared dead by doctors, revives as skin prepared for cremation. So these are very recent ones, August. So for this I want to talk to you about the Lazarus phenomena. I don't know how many of you know about it. So there is a story in Christianity that is a person known as Lazarus, who had died 4 days earlier, was revived by Jesus Christ just before his crucifixion. This is that story, and this is that photograph which is there in the records. So what actually happens in this case is, when the CPR is stopped, the lung pressure caused by dynamic hyperinflation because of cardiac massage and other CPR equipment, there is return of blood flow into the circulation, which is called the auto-resuscitation effect. It is also known as return of spontaneous circulation. And believe me, the literature says that 45% of the patients who revive themselves after being declared dead are even neurologically sound. So this is written in the literature. So let's go ahead. When not to resuscitate. When you receive a body which rigor mortis has already been set, and the muscles have stiffened, this shows that the death has occurred quite some time back, so you don't resuscitate here. When you have evidence of livor mortis, that is sinking of blood into the lower part, gravitational parts, this also gives evidence that the patient is already dead for a long time back. You don't resuscitate. And you don't resuscitate a stillborn. So if CPR is successful, immediately make an entry into the admission register, shift the patient to the ICU for further treatment. If CPR is not successful, you have to make an entry into a broad dead register. Means every hospital should have a broad dead register. And like for live patients, a case sheet is being prepared. We have a case sheet for a broad dead patient also, in which all entries which will be enumerated now to be done. It is the doctor who has to decide whether it is a medical legal case or is it a case of natural death. Accordingly, police has to be informed, and if there is a delay, the body has to be sent to the mortuary. Doctors normally fall into a situation where a patient is brought to the hospital gasping, and by the time the doctor comes, he has died. And the doctor is being blamed that the treatment was not given in time. So here we find ourselves in a bad situation. So to get away with all these problems, documentation is the key. So document every single thing properly, and that is the best way to avoid any litigation. What do we document? We document all available particulars of the dead person which have been told to you. Normally, in a broad dead patient, try to take 2 identification marks. We'll come to it later why. Take the history of the disease by the patients by the attendants who have brought the patient to find out what happened before death. Note down the particulars of the people bringing the body, circumstances in which the patient died, relationship of the persons who brought the patient. Always mention before declaring dead the airway, breathing, circulation, pulse, BP, pupillary reflex, response to painful stimulus, temperature of the skin, preferably ECG 12 lead, and take thumb impressions, and especially thumb impressions should be taken not in a patient who has developed rigor mortis before that. Look for external injuries on the body like burns, scalds, burnt clothing, soiling of clothes with blood, vomitus, semen, smell from the body like evidence of falling in a sewer or a manhole, evidence of snake or scorpion bites or any other bite, evidence of passage of urine and stool, evidence of sexual assault, evidence of any injection mark on the body, and whether if an infant is brought whether it died after birth or was it was stillborn. So we have to differentiate. This photograph shows a drug addict. So if you find such marks, that means there is a drug addict, scorpion bite, snake bites. So you also mentioned whether the body is naked or clothed. This is also to be mentioned. If you are sure that this is a natural death, do not remove the clothes of the body as a regard to that body. But if you suspect that there could be something unnatural, you must declothe the body and examine thoroughly. Any personal belongings should be noted down, made a list, and when the body is handed over either to the police or to the mortuary staff or to the relatives in a natural death, this receipt should be signed by them. Any objectionable material like drugs, knife, firearms should be seen and noted down. Whenever you hand over the body to the police or to the mortuary staff or to the relatives in a natural death, always get a receipt of the body and attach it in your document. The marks of identification include tattoos, birthmarks, moles, scars, deformity, body piercing, evidence. These are important to facilitate police investigation, for inquest purposes, for sending the corpse to the mortuary, claim of insurances, statistical and legal purposes, information to the relatives or by the relatives, their faces may be lettered. And when the body is exhumed, the mark of identifications are important. So that's why I said 2 marks of identification, preferably distant from each other. So wherever the body is exhumed or mutilated, at least you can find 1 mark of identification to identify that body. So every doctor should be aware about the legal and ethical and social ramifications of any death. Death register or a broad death register is to be maintained by all indoor facilities. Never assume that the patient is dead unless you thoroughly are sure. Always ascertain whether it is a natural death or unnatural death. Attempt a CPR if required. Examine the body thoroughly. You must note down your history properly because this may be used later on. And if police has to be informed, inform the police. The body must not be handed over to the relatives if you suspect unnatural death. If the hospital has a mortuary, you can shift the body to the mortuary. If you don't have a mortuary, then you shift the body to an empty, safe, guarded room. Until the police arrives, it is expected that the doctor should remain there. Always inform the police in case of a recently married woman. And if you ship to the mortuary, you attach an identification tag to the right grave toe. Now comes the death certificate. So if the patient was being treated in that hospital for a certain ailment which you think would have caused the death, and you have proper documentation available for the previous visits of the patient to that hospital, you can issue a death certificate stating the cause of death, the same disease for which the patient was being treated. Whenever you feel that the death certificate can be issued to the patient and he had a natural death, you should not delay. You must expedite issuing a death certificate and handing over the body to the relatives. If the patient was not being treated in your hospital, you don't have any evidence, better to label the patient as a medical legal case and inform the police. The body should then never be handed over to the attendants, and how much pressure you have from anyone, and never ever issue a death certificate in such a case. Never issue a death certificate with patients not caused, not known, not dead. This is illegal. All the sequence from the arrival of the patient into the hospital till handing over the body should be preferably recorded in CCTV. Now there is an amendment to the Birth and Death Act 1969 in 2023. They have formed a national database of births and deaths under an appointed Registrar General at the national level, at the state levels. Aadhaar details of the parents will have to be entered for a birth certificate. Doctors, hospitals, nursing homes, maternities, IVF centers, jailers, hotel managers, airports, station masters, dharamshalas, all have to be brought in the gambit, and they will have to inform any death or birth taking place in that premises. Even school admissions will now, and voter list now will be made by the sole conclusive document, which will be the birth certificate. So death is a universal concept. 80 to 90% doctors have some mental enemy whenever a patient dies or brought dead in front of you. 50% of doctors go into a little bit of distress, moderate type of distress, and there are 5% who go to the extent of leaving the medical profession. So doctors are always punching bags, and they become a case for revenge, even in the broad dead cases or even any hospitalized death. The death is more perceived as a failure of medical treatment, not a natural event, rather than an invisible power of certain final event. What is surprising is that the non-uniformity of courts, the justice system in evaluating the case and compensation thereof, for hospital death alleged due to medical negligence, compensation formula is applied that is not used for other hundreds of healthy deaths. May God give more wisdom to the judiciary. Thank you.
Inviting our very first speaker, Dr. Rajneesh Kumar Sharma. He will be speaking on medical legal issues in homeopathic practice. Dr. Sharma, welcome you on the stage. Dr. Sandhya Bhattnagar. President-elect IIM Uttrakhand and Zonal Coordinator Uttrakhand. Dr. J.S. Bhandari, President IIM Halmani.
He is PhD from UK and HMD from UK and AHM London and D from the UK and PhD also. Welcome, Dr. Rajneesh Kumar Sharma.
Dr.
This opportunity to express my views regarding legal issues in homeopathy. I think I am the single person from homeopathy being who is attending this seminar and speaking also. I have been instructed to spare a lot of time. I will finish my slide within 5 to 10 minutes.
Great.
Homeopathy as a form of alternative medicine has gained popularity worldwide. WHO says this is the second largest medical system which is popularized in the world. This is the saying of the WHO. Many individuals seeking homeopathy treatments from various health conditions, they are increasing in number day by day. However, like any healthcare practice, homeopathy is subject to legal regulation and consideration. The homeopathic practitioner must be aware of legal framework surrounding homeopathic practice to ensure compliance and provide safe and effective care to the patients within the domain of the law. The presentation will explore some of the key legal issues that arise in the practice of homeopathy. As far as licensing and registration is concerned, homeopathy is not spared of, not exempted from licensing. One of the fundamental legal requirements for practicing homeopathy is obtaining the necessary license and registration from the government bodies. The specific regulations governing the practice of homeopathy can vary between countries and various areas. I am running fast to instructions. It is essential for homeopaths to understand the legal requirements in their respective jurisdictions and ensure compliance with practice legally in their areas. Regarding the scope of practice, I do not like cross-selling. Homeopaths must operate within their defined scope of practice, which outlines the boundaries of the treatments they are qualified to administer. They should practice in homeopathic facilities only. They should only apply homeopathic treatment to the patient, not cross-selling. These boundaries are set by government bodies and their sponsors. Homeopaths should have a clear understanding of their limitations and ensure that do not offer treatment or procedure that fall outside the domain of their practice. Engaging in activities beyond one's scope of practice will lead to legal consequences. We can see homeopathy being ignored at every place. As far as government, as far as public, as far as other systems of medicine, they are frequently ignoring the homeopathic practice. Government has provided certain rights and exemptions to the homeopaths. The government officials are not aware of the rights of homeopaths. They are not aware of laws related to homeopathy. For example, homeopaths can use all the necessary measures in treating a critical patient. This is not known to many. They are exempted from biomedical based treatment guidelines. Government has issued a GO regarding it. They are taught each and every subject except allopathy biology, but their other subjects are not considered at par. This is the example. This is a fantastic example. Pollution Control Board is issuing certificate for homeopath to need. Just sending data of biomedical products generated within last year. Just submit the report. They do not know homeopaths are exempted from that. This is the GO regarding exemption of homeopaths from biomedical based items. It clearly mentions the homeopaths who are running non-vetted clinics or hospital, they do not need to have tie-up with the biomedical based management system. This is the GO. But in spite of this GO, notices are serving again and again. These are the rulings Now Professor Nagpal sir has explained a lot from this slide. Patient should not be neglected, okay, no problem. A practitioner of homeopathy is free to choose whom to treat. These are ruling 10. There is ruling 12 act of negligence, okay. This is very important para. In section 12, para 4, a practitioner of homeopathy shall use any drug prepared according to homeopathic principles, alright, and adopt other necessary measures as required. This is the point to be noted. A homeopathic practitioner must use homeopathic medicine, okay, but he can adopt other necessary measures as required. What are the necessary measures? Correction of BP, correction of airway maintenance, breathing, circulation, IV fluids, supplementation by oxygen, blood transfusion, nutrient supplements, minor surgeries like stoppage of bleeders, try to refer to concerned specialty, fixation and fractures, fixation of fractures, try to refer to the concerned orthopedic surgeon, conduction of normal labor and maintaining a complicated labor prior to be referred to the gynecologist. CPR, defibrillation, shock management and ventilator use, these all can be adopted by homeopathic critical conditions. But treatment should be homeopathic, the medicine applied should be homeopathic. Whenever a layman gives first aid as CPR or bandages the wounds or fixes the fractures with some support and ties the wounds or bleeder in an RTA victim, he is appreciated elsewhere because he has saved the life. But in contrast, if an homeopathic practitioner or even Ayush practitioner, just these things, he is blamed for doing gross. This management is not a pathy. This is the first aid. Everybody can do. There are some restrictions applying necessary measures. Like most of the government officials and even general public thinks that IV use of saline, supplements, blood transfusion is not a part of homeopathy. The use of rice tube, polycatheter, ventilator is not supposed to be the part of homeopathy. Minor surgical procedures like sample taking for FNAC or biopsy, this is not supposed to be homeopathy. Cardiac examination like ECG, EMG, echo, pathological investigation, radiological investigation, these are supposed not to be included in homeopathic practice. This is the answer to an RTI. Is there no right to do radiological or pathological investigation by homeopathy? Answer is very uncertain. Nonsense says the matter is not related to us. Therefore, it is transferred to Medical Council of India. Again, this is a certificate. Government issues a certificate to homeopathic practitioners that certifying that he is a trained COVID-19 practitioner. Okay, but if he treats the COVID patients, the local bodies arrest them. They make a lot of impairment there. There is a right to give any evidence in court once required by law. This is the para C. He shall be entitled to sign or authenticate a medical or fitness certificate or any other certificate required by any law to be signed or authenticated by a duly qualified medical practitioner. First, para D. He shall be entitled to give any evidence at any inquest or any court of law as an expert under section 45 of the Indian Evidence Act 1872 or any matter related to homeopathy. This is the DO, this is the answer to an RTI, whether a homeopathy can issue the medical certificate or not. He can issue each and every medical certificate required by law. There is another answer to our RDI. There is right to use supplementation by IV fluids, oxygen supplementation, ventilator use of blood transfusion, etc. That these all measures can be used by homeopathy. There is a right to conduct normal deliveries. This is the ruling from Central Council of India. Engagement for an obstetrical case. If a practitioner of homeopathy is engaged to attend to a woman during her confinement, he shall do so. Refusal to do so in the excuse of any other engagement shall not be considered ethical, except whether he is already engaged in similar or another serious case. He can do normal duties. And next, he has to maintain the complicated labor till he refers the patient to another practitioner of this case. The similar answer is there. There are certain norms for homeopathy which must follow. A physician shall not contradict the laws regulating the practice of homeopathy. Okay. He shall not assist others to disobey the law regulating the practice of homeopathy. That's all right. He shall act in aid of the enforcement of sanitary laws and regulations in the interest of the public health. This is all right. He must obey, he must follow. He shall comply with the provisions of Dragon Cosmetic Act, Dragon Cosmetic Rules, the Pharmacy Act, the Narcotics and Psychotropic Substances Act, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, the Transplantation of Human Organ Act, the Persons with Disability Act, the Biomedical Waste Act, and so on. He must follow each and every rule. He must follow. I agree. There are certain questions. The duration of study and slavery by various government councils are the same for the bachelor level medical courses belong to the government of India, except only one subject, that is the pharmacology. In each system of medicine, the concerned pharmacology is taught. In allopathy, it is called pharmacology. In homeopathy, the homeopathic pharmacy and medical medicine. In Ayurveda, this is Dravya Guru Vigyan and Divinity. And in Unani, this is called Monism, and so on. There is no difference in study regarding basic subjects like anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, pathology, forensic medicine, jurisprudence, SPM, surgery, gynae, obstetrics, medicine, etc., except their own pharmacology as per their respective streams. In reading various modalities like radiological examinations, PET scan, X-ray, ultrasounds, echo, EMG, pathology, ECG. What is the role of pharmacology? What is the role of pharmacology there? There is no role of pharmacology. Only basic knowledge is must be there. If I wonder, why are so much restrictions to our system of medicine in every of them? I took PCP, NDT and AR have different routes with RHP. Why is registered medical practitioner RMP's definition only been restricted to the schedules of MCI only? Other medical considerations their candidates in their respective schedules certifying that he is now a registered medical practitioner. Then why does there is such a non-uniformity? While there is uniformity in all the syllabi and duration of specialty courses, in all the medical institutes, the rules for them must be uniform. Now I will finish with this slide. Homeopathy has a unique place in healthcare landscape, but it is not exempt from legal consideration. They must follow the rules and regulations that are given by government. Homeopaths must be aware of the legal framework governing their practice, including licensing requirements, scope of practice, informed consent, advertising regulations, patients' confidentiality, and data protection. By navigating these legal issues diligently, homeopaths can provide safe and effective care to the patient while ensuring compliance with the law, thereby upholding professional integrity and fostering trust in the field of homeopathic practice. No doctor must do cross-patch. Even allopaths must not do cross-patch. They must not prescribe homeopathy. They must not prescribe Ayurveda. They must not prescribe Unani medicine. And homeopaths must not prescribe other than homeopathy. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Dr. Rajni, for acknowledging us the various aspects of homeopathic medicine.
Next speaker for the session, Dr. Suresh Prashishta, will be speaking on consent. This is a piece of paper.
मान के लिए प्रणाम। इस त्रिविक्रम विष्णु की धरा को प्रणाम। इमलिया के हमारे संरक्षक डॉक्टर तिवारी साहब, डॉक्टर सिरोही साहब, शर्मा जी, सिंह साहब, आपका मैं बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ कि आपने मुझे यहाँ को अवसर दिया। देखिए, बहुत ज़्यादा नॉलेज प्रॉब्लम रहती है। जैसे अभी चले गए और मेरे नाथा लोग कह रहे थे कि कितने टाइम में नहीं, तो उनको इतनी ज़्यादा नॉलेज है वो 20 मिनट में कोई बात ही नहीं कर सकते। दैट उस मामले में मैं ज़्यादा सुपीरियर हूँ उनसे, बिकॉज आई हैव लिटिल नॉलेज एंड आई कैन नॉट स्पीक मोर देन 10 or 15 minutes. So that advantage I have. आगे वेलकम सर। होई है सोई जो राम रचि राखा, को करी तर्क बढ़ाओ शाखा। यदि हम उस तरह से लें जैसे तिवारी साहब ने कहा था, हमारे सतीश जी ने, सुनहु भरत भावी प्रबल विलख कहीं मुनिनाथ, हानि लाभ जीवन मरण यश यश मिलाथ। एंड आई हैव रियलाइज्ड कि जब कोई प्रॉब्लम आनी होती है, it's unexpected, uncalled for, or suddenly you are trapped. But still, when we drive on the road, we must use helmet. When we are driving a car or sitting in a car, we must use seatbelt. Similarly, this consent is not just a piece of paper; it is a shield. And why it is a shield? Because there is an exponential increase in medical litigation against the medical professionals, and the main cause is improper consent and its documentation and other documentation, which comprise of nearly 2/3 of the total cases against medical professionals. So, as I told, it's just not a piece of paper. It's a document which is reduced in writing, which is signed by the competent person, which is witnessed by interested witnesses after the free will of the patient's autonomy to decide what and how his body may be subjected to any treatment, any procedure, or anything whatsoever, after being provided adequate information, requisite information with the patient. So there is discussion, then decision, and then document. These 3D, they make the component of informed consent. So consent is just a meeting of two minds. Here, meeting of minds between patient and the healthcare provider. But though it is governed by Indian Contract Act, ये नहीं चाहिए आप थोड़ा चुप रहे, पानी ला देते हैं। Though it is governed by Indian Contract Act, but it is different from a contract because the two parties entering into a contract are of unequal knowledge. On one side is a doctor who possesses the medical degree. On other side is the patient who might possess, but he is presumed that he knows less than you. So, friends, informed consent, as I told you earlier, that patient must have that requisite information, and the duty to provide that adequate or requisite information lies on the healthcare provider or us doctors. So, इस तरह से माहौल बनाने के लिए अस्पताल में ऐसे ऐसी चीज़ें आप लिख देंगे, जागसी ध्रुव जन्म कस्य। So these things, this is a temple of healing, life cannot be guaranteed, even the doctors treating a patient are not immortal. ये सारी चीज़ें से कहानी बनती है, एक नरेशन बनता है, नैरेटिव बनता है। The patient walks in, he realizes कि कोई बड़ा प्रैक्टिकल डॉक्टर है, वो शमशान वाली लुक भी नहीं होनी चाहिए, वो वैराग्य भी नहीं होना चाहिए। There's chaitanya, it should be live, it should be spiritual, so that he understands the limitation of our science and he doesn't over-expect, which normally they do. So what is that requisite information? I am very happy that when I entered the hall, I came quite late, the things were going around, consent. So I need not speak much about that because हमारे मोटा भाई ने बोला है, काफी लोगों ने consent के बारे में बोला है, डॉक्टर सतीश तिवारी जी ने बोला है, समीरा कोहली का सारे केसेस के बारे में. So plan of management which a doctor is contemplating, different alternatives of the treatment, including the risk or adverse events if patient refuses treatment or and if there is no treatment, the estimated length of stay and estimated expenses, they should be part of the consent. And patient is made to ask questions so that it is a two-way communication, and it should appear that all queries and relevant questions have been addressed to and answered to his satisfaction. So a valid consent needs the requisite knowledge. It is given by a competent person. Now, who is a competent person? Any person who has attained the age of majority. Under Indian Majority Act, it is considered as 18 years. But he should not be incapacitated, maybe temporarily, and should be of healthy mind. Should not be intoxicated, inebriated under the effect of some drug or alcohol, maybe like anesthesia. Then third one, it should come voluntarily. It should not come out of any misrepresentation, coercion, fraud, pressure, incentive or duress. So that is the three pillars of the consent. And the document, what is required is, it should be taken at one time, on one paper, with one pen, should be in a simple language, in patient's vernacular which they understand. It should be properly drafted and should be procedure specific. For Dr. R.G. Stone hospital case was there, so it has been stayed by Supreme Court. But the problem was there was a blanket consent. Now we at our association level, in Association of Surgeons, the IEGS, Endoscopy Surgery Society, Laparoscopy Surgery Society, we have started drafting procedure-specific consent. We came out with a laparoscopic cholecystectomy consent with total details, and now it is available on our website. And we are coming with the hernia. Similarly, we want that common procedures, they should have procedure-specific consent. It should be signed by patient himself. What happens, like in cataract patient, वो बूढ़े बाबा आते हैं, उनका बेटा बाहर साइन कर देता है. No. If a patient is competent, he should and he must sign. Otherwise, it is not a valid consent. There should be no blank spaces. There should be no overwriting or cutting. Vital points should be in patient's handwriting, and they should be duly signed. Then, in case of some need of having a letter consent, during some surgery, when patient is not competent, you can appoint, means patient can appoint a power of attorney or a proxy consent, so that he is authorized to decide in behalf of patient when patient is not able or is not in a position to consent for a procedure or change, alteration of procedure, extension of procedure like that. There should be separate consent for anesthesia, for surgery, for blood transfusion, for clinical trials, anything which requires permanent sterility in the procedure, consent of both the partners should be taken. Then there can be some high-risk consent, removal of a limb or an organ, and the risk of death on table. Then if you anticipate multiple admissions, multiple procedures, multiple interventions, then refusal consent is very important. We have already discussed during the Vartala question answers. Then clinical trials, there is a set pattern and ICMR guidelines also. So what are the types of consent? It could be oral or written. It could be implied. Dr. Suresh Vasisht, MS surgery, लिखा हुआ है, patient is coming, that means he has come to consult me. I have not gone and brought him. So that is oral or implied consent that involves an examination. But then there is an express or implicit consent. What is that? That explicit consent or implied, express consent. That means if any examination which is likely to cause any discomfort, any intervention, anything which might lead to some serious complication or maybe even end of life. So all these situations we have to obtain a written consent by the patient. Surgery or procedure or any intervention without a valid consent legally amounts to assault by the doctor under criminal law and deficiency of service under civil or conjugal. Should consent be reviewed? Yes. If there are material changes, the circumstances have changed, and if you feel it is important, then it should be reviewed and it should be taken again. Patient can withdraw consent any time. He has the right. Then there are certain therapeutic privileges. I do not know, they are in the IPC. The law of the land is going to change tremendously and very rapidly because the government is in a hurry, coming with different samhitas, IPC, CRPC, Indian Evidence Act. Everything is being rewritten. Lot of codes and lot of sections are being dropped. New sections are added. They just want to make it thorough. So that will be a best time for the judges. Judges who are always their best time, but अब तो और भी बढ़िया उनके पास time आएगा. They will decide and interpret the laws according to and sections according to their wisdom. So those therapeutic privileges they were mentioned in IPC. Actually, they have not protected us, but yes, theoretically they give us some protection for good faith in emergency. It is our duty to discharge services to the patient. Otherwise, it amounts to negligence. If, as I told you, there is an extension of procedure or change of procedure, we should go ahead only if patient has consented to earlier, or if patient has appointed a proxy consent, then his consent should be taken. Otherwise, abandoned if it is not life-saving. If it is life-saving, ignore everything and go ahead. But if it is not life-saving, let the patient recover. Go and discuss with the again. If he or she is willing, then you go for that. So this is Thomas versus Elisa. I will not go in detail. There was a case of peritonitis. The doctor did not operate because of want of consent. Supreme Court held the doctor negligent and stated that it was doctor's legal obligation to give services in emergency patients. So after this Samira Kohli, I don't think we should go in detail. Everybody knows 44-year female went to gynecologist Dr. Samira Kohli and got treatment. The consent was faulty, and unfortunately there were two important points where this sword which is hanging on us could have been averted, because in one of the allegations the patient alleged that on account of profuse bleeding uterus will have to be removed and obtained her signature on a fresh consent. Means उसकी मदर के जब साइन करवाने के लिए आए तो उसने ये एलिगेशन लगाया कि वो आकर के मेरे से साइन करवाए कि पेशेंट की यूट्रस जो है निकालनी पड़ेगी क्योंकि ब्लीडिंग ज़्यादा है. नाउ डिफेंस में क्या होता है, वो कह रहे देयर वाज नो एक्सेसिव ब्लीडिंग एज एलिगेशन. अरे उसी के पॉइंट को आधार मान करके उसी को और अच्छा सब्सटेंशिएट करके had it been mentioned that because of bleeding it has to be done, तो ये कहानी नहीं होगी, कितनी कहानी होगी. Nims versus Prashant Dhanuka, Dr. Nagpal has mentioned. But see, there is a, इसमें भी catch है sir. Being a surgeon, I tell you, क्या? Consent taken for excision biopsy cannot be accepted as implied. See, here lies the problem of not having Dr. Neeraj Nagpal or Dr. Satish Tiwari or Dr. Suresh Vasisht as your defense, because this was a error of understanding on the part of the judge. Excision biopsy means excision. He went ahead with the excision, the consent was there. So there could have been other grounds of lapidifying the doctor and the hospital, but at least some protection would have been there. And Kulkarni versus Dr. Amit Mahadev, we know all, he is a surgeon, he is a gastroenterologist par excellence. सबसे बेकार मरीज कौन सा होता है? Any guess? Doctors are the worst patients. Unfortunately, I am doctor of the doctors, surgeon of the doctors, but डर बड़ा लगने लग गया, because if a doctor is a patient, then you have to. So try to tactfully either avoid or be vigilant, right? Yeah, this was my same question. So now it all depends how you present. How was your day? How was the mood of the judge? घरवाली से झगड़ा तो नहीं हुआ, आने से पहले कोर्ट में. There are so many factors. वो वहाँ पे कोई रास्ते में ट्रैफिक तो ज़्यादा नहीं था, जस्ट मिलॉर्ड आ रहे थे तब. तो एसके झुंझुनवाला versus धनवंतरी कुमार. This was again a procedure where the consent was for open laparoscopy cholecystectomy, and patient was operated for open cholecystectomy, and it was well documented, and it was well written and explained in the papers. काम करो न करो, काम का जिक्र करो, काम का फिक्र करो, और काम का फिक्र करो न करो, काम का जिक्र करो. So what is written is important. Even if you have done and you have not documented, it is presumed that you have not done it. तो वो कौन सी मूवी थी? एंटरटेनमेंट तीन चीजें होती हैं मूवी के चलने के लिए. ऐसे हमारे बचाव के साधन है डॉक्यूमेंटेशन, communication of that documentation and documentation of the communication and preservation of the documentation. These are the important safeguards, the shield, the protection. कवच है हमारे. इस कवच को मजबूत बनाना पड़ेगा. ये हो सकता है कोर्ट में वो कह दे जी झूठी कंसेंट ले, जबरदस्ती कोरे कागज पे साइन करवा ली. मैं तो उस टाइम स्ट्रेस में था, मेरी माँ तो ऐसे पड़ी थी, मैं क्या करता, मैं तो बहुत ज़्यादा मेंटल ट्रॉमा में था. All these things will come. So the consent may not defend you, but lack of consent will definitely please take. So in the same Dhanvantri Kumar, the court was satisfied that because of adhesions, because of edema, because of difficulty, relationship with patient today is more contractual than illusory. Patients today are much better informed, they are mobilized of their rights and are not willing to accept adverse outcomes or adverse events as will of the God. पहले होता था, हमारी किस्मत खराब थी, डॉक्टर से बहुत बढ़िया काम किया. अब उल्टा है, कितना ही अच्छा डॉक्टर काम करे, जरा सी प्रॉब्लम आई तो गिद्ध आ जाएंगे. Society in general and consumer courts. See, Consumer Protection Act, this name is biased. जो एक्ट का नाम ही bias करते हैं, पक्षपात नहीं, कुछ और होता है. So जिसका नाम इतना biased है, prejudiced है, तो वो तो स्टीकर वैसे ही होना, इसी तरह से होना. So they are quite liberal. अब क्या होता है साहब कि मैं गाड़ी से जा रहा था, मैंने गाड़ी रेड लाइट पर रुकी, एक बंदा साइकिल से आया, मेरे पे टकरा गया, उसको चोट लग गई, मेरी गाड़ी को थोड़ी सी चोट लग गई, वो गिर गया, भीड़ हो गई, पुलिस भी आ गई, मेन झारसा रेड लाइट, बड़ी कंजेस्टेड है, साइड में बुला दिया हमको दोनों, हम साइड में गए, कैमरा था, गलती उसकी थी, पुलिस नाला है गलती पर, आप तो डॉक्टर साहब को जानते हैं, आप तो डॉक्टर हो, इसके कुछ इलाज मिला के पैसे बेचारे की साइकिल है 1000 रुपये। तो same thing happened. There is no negligence in that RG Stone hospital case. Court has admitted no negligence, but doctor चंदा तो लेना है, तो वो चंदा फंड रेजिंग करते हैं कि भाई लीगल एड सोसाइटी में दो 10 लाख रुपए डाल दो क्योंकि आपके डॉक्यूमेंटेशन गड़बड़ था। तो बहाने हैं, आप सक्षम हैं, आप कमाते हैं, आपसे सब उम्मीद करते हैं, आपके घर में भी जैसे 5 भाई हैं, 2 डॉक्टर हैं, बस भाई, तो वो एक्सपेक्टेशन होता है कि यार ये डॉक्टर है, सब बढ़िया कमा, बुरा मत मानना, ये ह्यूमन नेचर है, तो हमको उसके साथ जीना पड़ेगा, हमें आदत डालनी होगी, थोड़ी मोटी चमड़ी करनी होगी, थोड़ी सी इमोशंस को बाहर निकालना पड़ेगा, बट ऑनेस्टली स्पीकिंग इफ यू आर ट्रू इन द कम्युनिकेशन, बहुत रेयरली, बहुत कम मरीज ऐसे होते हैं जो नालायक से होते हैं, because they watch your actions, they watch your whatever you are doing good for the patients. Still, I will say it is a noble profession, but we are not God. या आप सुबह से उठते हैं अपने आप से बोले I am not God, I am a person, I am having skills. मैं शाम को यदि आप पैसा नहीं आएगा तो आटा कहाँ से आएगा, मेरी गाड़ी की किस कैसे आएगी, इसलिए हर एक से पैसा लेते हैं, जिससे नहीं लेते उसको डॉक्यूमेंट करो, और आप इनकम टैक्स वाले जब आते हैं कोई भी बात हो तो उसमें यू शुड हैव अ बिग डॉक्यूमेंट, मेरा 72,000 का बिल था, मरीज के पैर पकड़ के रोने लग गया, 30,000 ये 42,000 लॉस। Show them how much charity you are doing. You are doing it daily, but you are not documenting. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh, for giving in and proper documentation of each and every case. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
From take-home message of documentation and communication evidence center. I now request our next speaker, Dr. Vijay Prakash Tyagi, to come up on stage. He will be speaking on defensive anesthesia practice.
I am freelancing anesthetics, तो जितना भी मैसेज है वो freelancing anesthetics के लिए ही एंड सर्जन्स के लिए तो नहीं था। किसी और की बात पर विश्वास करें या ना करें, anesthetics का तो करना ही पड़ेगा। Within 10 minutes I will finish. Thank you. So, these are just topic I choose today is defensive anesthesia practice or conservative anesthesia. Should it be? क्या किसी anesthetics को conservative या defensive होना चाहिए? Because he is dealing with the emergency situation. उसको तुरंत एक्शन लेना, फास्ट एक्शन लेना। अगर 2 मिनट से ज़्यादा तो पेशेंट will be brain dead. तो उस मोमेंट में तो हाथ ही नहीं काम करते हैं। And my legal practice मतलब ये inclination starting with the case, patient को posted for demobilization, DOT हो गई, मतलब it's a nightmare, आप जी नहीं सकते, कुछ नहीं कर सकते अगर DOT हो गई तो, और उसके बाद जब सीन देखा जो फेस किया उसके बाद लगा कि better to do LLB और देखते हैं क्या करें, so it started from there only. मानना ये है कि नहीं, डिफेंसिव नहीं, एग्रेसिव तो होना पड़ेगा, let it be. So Dear past, thank you for the lessons. I am ready for the future. देखते हैं, अब सीख लिया बहुत कुछ जितना था, कैसे डिपेंड करना है, क्या करना है। Anesthesia is a unique branch. We care when you are not there. Patient है, and in fact the best bet, best friend, best defense is having anesthetist around. बहुत लोग अगर साथ में anesthetist है तो you should be totally safe. सर्जन तो है ही है, अगर कभी हमें भी जाना पड़ता है, मेरे साथ रिसेंटली हुए एक केस में सेकंड पेशेंट ओटी में लेना था एंड शी रिफ्यूज्ड कि नहीं आना, एंड सर्जन केम टू मी, यार वो मना कर रही है आने से, मिल गया, एंड आई वेंट टू हर रूम एंड शी सेड कि ओ यू आर नॉट एनेस्थेटिस्ट, यू आर सपोज्ड टू सी मी बिफोर ऑपरेशन थिएटर। मैं तो भाई
चरण छुआ दो, अपने कहाँ है? ऐसा मिलता नहीं पेशेंट जो कहे कि मुझे अपने एनेस्थेटिस्ट से मिलना है, उससे बात करनी है, इट्स अ वेरी रेयर। अपने काम का क्रेडिट खुद ही नहीं लेते हैं, ऑलवेज इन हरी। 10 मिनट के अंदर पहुंचे, ओटी में सीधा मिलना है, पहले देखा नहीं। सारे केसेस एनेस्थेटिस्ट के केस जितने भी हुए हैं, सबसे पहला पॉइंट यही हुआ है कि एनेस्थेटिस्ट कभी पेशेंट से मिला ही नहीं, ईएससी हुई नहीं, काउंटेबल होती है तो होती है क्योंकि क्वालिटी ऐसी आती है। So anesthesiologist, these are two different terms, anesthetist and anesthesiologist. Anesthesiologist is a qualified person who has learned anesthesia, studied anesthesia. Anesthetist can be a staff nurse or different. Silent force behind the scene, and it's known to have everything around. अगर साथ में है तो you should be safe. Anesthesia improve quality of all surgical process. Cause of death directly related because of anesthesia is just 0.1%. Anesthesiologist works behind the scene and thanks to the COVID, अकेले हम ही लोग हैं जिन्होंने thanks किया COVID को, एक नई पहचान मिली। लोग पूछने लगे, जानने लगे कि कोई होता भी है। The greatest fear, अगर मैं कहूँ कि किसी भी चीज को डर रहता है किसी का भी, तो 2 fear है। One is the fear of death and fear of pain. दर्द नहीं होना चाहिए, कर्ज होना चाहिए, और जिंदा वापस चला जाओ इतनी गारंटी। We take both fear away from all patients. What is ideal anesthesia practice? तरीका वही है कि मिलिए, पहले पेशेंट से मिलो, ईएससी करो, रिलेटिव से मिलो। पेशेंट क्या है तो कम से कम रिलेटिव तो कह पाएगा कि हाँ भाई मेरे से मुलाकात हुई थी, और वही चीज नहीं हुई तो कुछ नहीं होता। लेकिन ये कमी रहती है एनेस्थेटिस्ट की, ऑलवेज इन हरी, जल्दी आना, ओटी में घुसना और तुरंत भाग जाना, आँख खोली गए। Immediate preoperative assessment, on-table assessment is must to save patient and save us. Check for the consent and equipment. Most of the time there is the equipment failure. Oxygen खत्म हो गई, सामान नहीं है, assistance नहीं है, and you are the only person. Ideally, all anesthetists are trained in the best atmosphere. Medical college में assistance है, सारे equipments हैं, but in practice, boil separators 1950 में यूज होता था, अब भी वही यूज हो रहा है। इंस्टीट्यूट की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, मैं छोटे नर्सिंग होम्स की बात कर रहा हूँ। तो वो चीज रहती है, असिस्टेंट है ही नहीं, खुद दे लो, खुद ही काम कर लो, बल्कि सर्जन का काम भी कर दो, राइट भी एडजस्ट कर दो, ये भी कर दो, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट चला दो। दैट इज द रूटीन इन नॉर्मल। सो फॉलो द गाइडलाइंस ऑफ द टाइम ऑफ एनेस्थीसिया एंड पोस्ट ऑपरेटिव केयर यूनिट इज द रिस्पांसिबिलिटी ऑफ एनेस्थेटिस्ट। उसी की है, तो इस खत्म करके तुरंत भागे वो नहीं है। अगर 1 घंटे बाद, 2 घंटे बाद, 4 घंटे बाद कॉम्प्लिकेशन होती है, देन वी आर आंसरेबल, वी शुड बी। Why it is difficult to follow the ideal practice? क्यों नहीं कर पाते? रीजन क्या है? Indemnity हम लेते हैं, premium is maximum for plastic surgeon and anesthesiologist, maximum. And when it comes to the infrastructure, minimum ध्यान रहता है किसी भी हॉस्पिटल का, and remuneration की बात, minimum. हॉस्पिटल का बिल, सर्जन फीस 40,000, anesthetic फीस 4,000, किस रिलेशन में होती है पता नहीं, बट मिनिमम रहता है। इसलिए बेचारे को 10 कॉल अटेंड करनी है, 4 केस करने, तुरंत भागना है, जितनी जल्दी खत्म हो नेक्स्ट केस लेंगे। बट जैसे चेंज हुआ है, एनेस्थेसियोलॉजिस्ट हैज स्प्रेड इट्स बीइंग बियॉन्ड द 4 वॉल ऑफ ऑपरेशन थिएटर। ऑपरेशन थिएटर से बाहर निकल के बहुत किया, एज आई सेड इन द कोविड व्हिच हैपेंड। एंड सिंपल कार्टून, गायनेकोलॉजिस्ट की स्टैंडर्ड हैबिट, इमरजेंसी सीएससी वेरिएंट, फीटल डिस्ट्रेस, आप वहां पहुंचिए, अभी वो टेक्नीशियन आ रहा है, जब तक वो नहीं आएगा फीटल डिस्ट्रेस कैन वेट, बट एनेस्थेटिस्ट की कॉल तो अर्जेंट, उसे तो वहां पहुंचना नहीं तो दूसरा गया। इमरजेंसी प्रोसीजर में आप सीपीआर कर रहे हो, आपका ब्लड प्रेशर फॉल है, आपको पल्स नहीं हो रहा है, अरे यार मुझे स्क्रू डाल दिया, पहले मैं डालूं, अरे भैया पेशेंट को बचा दो पहले। ये सारे रियल टाइम सिनेरियो जो होते हैं। एंड दिस आइडियल एनेस्थेटिस्ट कैसा होना चाहिए, इसकी टीम भी भागेगी, दौड़ेगी, 10 हाथ से काम करे, अलग अलग फील्ड, हर फील्ड में बिना एनेस्थेसिया के कुछ नहीं हो सकता। इवन लेबर एनालिसिस, हर एक कोई रहता है कि लेबर पेन होते हैं, लेबर पेन होते हैं, वो कौन सा लेबर एनालिसिस, मस्ट पेशेंट रिस्पॉन्स ईच एंड एवरीथिंग। समरी, improve relationship with the patient and the relative, stick to the standard care and procedure, avoid vicarious liability। हम ही लोग अपने असिस्टेंट को बोल देते थे देख लेना पेशेंट और मैं जा रहा हूँ, वही प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएट होती है। अगर एनेस्थेटिस्ट ओटी में प्रेजेंट है, बिलीव मी 99.99% कोई
कॉम्प्लिकेशन नहीं हो सकती, ऐसी है नहीं जो वो हैंडल नहीं कर सकता, अनलेस कि 1%, 0.1% भगवान की मर्जी हो तो। And when an unfavorable incident occurs, act appropriately and document the fact. एक ही केस है जिसको मैं हर अपनी टॉक में बोलता हूँ, दिस वाज डॉक्टर एच.के. खुराना वर्सेस जोगेंद्र सिंह, 1996 का केस है। पहले ऑपरेट करना था किडनी के लिए, 15 दिन बाद सर्जन को लगा कि दोबारा भी ऑपरेट करना है, दूसरी भी निकालनी है, साइड की स्टोन निकालनी है, पेशेंट डाइड इन द सेकंड सर्जरी, डीओटी हो गई। दिस इज डॉक्टर खुराना, एनसीआर की फरीदाबाद, एंड 96 के केस से लेके 21 में लास्ट मतलब कोविड टाइम पे उनको सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक्ट किया कि नहीं आपके खिलाफ क्यों नहीं। रीजन क्या था, सर्जन ने उस पर लिखा हुआ है अपने फर्स्ट केस शीट पर, पेशेंट इज पुअर टॉलरेंस टू एनएससी। सेकंड केस जब होता है, जब डीओटी हो गई, सारी चीजें हो गई, तो डॉक्यूमेंट प्रोड्यूस हुए, उसमें कहा गया कि भाई इसमें तो लिखा हुआ है एनसीडीआरसी में भी पुअर टॉलरेंस टू एनएससी में, बोलेगा ओके जस्ट टेल मी व्हिच स्टैंडर्ड बुक वेयर इट इज रिटन कि व्हाट इज पुअर टॉलरेंस टू एनएससी, देयर इज नो सच थिंग। लेकिन उनकी बात सिर्फ सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मानी कि हाँ ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है, ये जो भी लिखा गया गलत है, सर्जन ने लिख दिया, एनसीडीआरसी में बोलेगा दिस वाज जस्ट बिकॉज़ ऑफ पुअर कम्युनिकेशन। आपको सर्जन से पूछना चाहिए, अरे मैंने तो नहीं लिखा भाई जो केस की फाइल शीट में, लेकिन ये होता है। तो better communication, better taking care and time. I think it's 10 minutes and